want war. Crime babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style, or pimped out style. You don't understand. understand the logic. See if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bet. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. And hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep tell so me just relax, and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax.
Alrighty, check it out. Okay, it is 1931, Sunday, the 4th January, 1931 Central European Time. That would make it, what is that? That would be 13. That's damn, 1 something? What is that? 2:31 Eastern Standard Time, USA, 11:31 Pacific Time, USA. That corresponds with South America, also, Canada, all parts of the Americas, right? And, 1931 Central European Time is the same African time on the western part of Africa, eastern coast. That would be 2030, right? So, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon to those of you in the USA. Good evening, or the beginning of the evening, to those of you in this part of the world, or Africa, Central Europe, or Europe and Africa, right? And in Asia, it's pretty late in Asia right now. I guess that would be about what is that? 7:32. It would be about what is that? Maybe 9 p.m. right in Asia. 7:32 here in Central Europe. It's probably like 9:32, something like that. 10:32, they're approaching their midnight. But what's up, everybody? Glad to see folks turn out again. What's up, Bits? I see you, Rainbow. Who else? Was somebody else in the chat early? Let me see here. Who else was that? Or was it just you two? Yeah, it was just you two, right? Yeah, blessings to everybody out there. And I hope you're having a good afternoon, a good day for, regardless of whatever the moment is. Oh, let me take this down, the live sticker off here. I can see that didn't change. Yeah, regardless of what the news is like and the political environment, the economy, the harassment of it, that could be difficult. So, outside of that, I hope you're having, a okay day today. And I'm not going to lie, I had a great day. It was just relaxing. Pretty organized day for me. Organized, relaxed day. I didn't do shit today. You know what I mean? I relaxed. My day went like this. I woke up. What did I do? I woke up, right? Prepared some things. I was with my kids earlier, right, in the morning when I woke up, obviously. And then what did I do? I had, what did I do? Damn, I can't even remember. Hold on. No, was this today? No, I'm sorry. I forgot. The time is changing. I came back. I went to sleep and woke up and forgot. Damn. No. I just had a me day. I'm sorry. Click the like button, y'all. I just had a me day. Damn. I almost forgot I've been sleeping all day. I'm talking about what happened yesterday and shit. Yo, today was fine. I had a me day. I woke up, went to sleep again, woke up, made some dinner, had a nice time, kicked back, watched the news, made myself a latte, did a little research here and there, just some small things, trying to catch up on what's going on with Maduro and all of that. And the world, it's a big world that don't seem to like this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, when Putin doesn't like it, that must make it really fucking bad, right? No. He's just a hypocrite himself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the world is what you have to learn how to read between the lines, because goddamn, I mean, what is this, man? I think Putin got to be the most embarrassing global leader. If there's one person that's more embarrassing than Trump, it's Putin. And you know why? Because he's been in power longer. Like, flat out. That's why. He just been in power longer. God damn. How long are you going to let somebody front like that, and play this role out? Man, get his ass the fuck out of there. Like, come on already. God damn. And you best believe Americans are looking forward to getting Trump the fuck out of there, and happy about saying that shit loud and proud. You know what I mean? Get the fuck Trump out now. I don't know what Russians are saying about Putin, but you ain't convincing nobody or nothing. I got to tell you, no one is fucking convinced, okay? Not anybody that can read between the lines. Nobody's convinced about the GDP. Nobody's convinced about being locked down, no place to go, nothing to do. Hard times. It was hard times in Russia before. Now it's harder times than ever, man. I mean, the economy sucks. Inflation is up. It was already boring, nothing to do before. I mean, hey, but I'm not here to talk about Russian people or anything like that. Big up to Russian people out there that know what time it is. Big up to you. And I understand Putin beats people down, kills people, throws people out of motherfucking windows. He kills fucking people, his own people. As soon as they flip and say, oh, come on, man, isn't this enough? Boom. Motherfuckers show up and throw them out the window. I mean, it is what it is. So everybody knows that. But for the rest of us that don't want to live with people all our fucking lives, we ready to get Trump the fuck out of there. A third of the American people only voted for Trump. Yes, that's facts. That's not up for debate. Okay. Only 1/3 of the electorate, 1/3 of the voting population voted for Donald J. Trump. Best believe it. 1/3 did not vote for anybody, and 1/3 voted against him. So that means he got a 33rd and a third % of the voting population of Americans. And look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. He's acting like he got 80%, 70%, 60% of the voting population. No, he didn't. He got 33 and a third, basically. Maybe he got 34. That topped it off for him. 34%. Yeehaw. That's a win. That's a win. So everybody else lost. All the other Americans lost, and, what can you do about it? Or maybe you approve of Trump and you didn't vote. I don't fucking know. But I know one thing for sure. Trump only got 1/3. Now, on to the news. What the hell? Everybody's come out now and speaking. There's been time for people to come out and speak. Trump has had time to speak, and that didn't take long, because what did he reveal? He revealed that he wants the oil, and he got no plans for no opposition taking power. No, he'd rather work with the vice president, who's in Maduro'S camp, by the way, who's saying, free Maduro, don't you ever come back, Yankee. Right. And I understand that, too, because goddamn, when you got somebody like Trump doing this kind of shit, what else can you say? I would say go home, Yankee, too. What the fuck? You just came and invaded my fucking country, talking about you taking the goddamn oil. Yes. Go home, Yankee. Goddamn. Let's all say that. Go home, Yankee. Go home, Yankee. Because goddamn, this is not looking goddamn good. It's not looking good. But in any case, it turns out the president don't want to work with us. The vice president don't really want to work with him. She wants Maduro back, or at least him freed. She wants Trump the fuck out of there. And it looks like, I mean, according to data, and we're going to go through some of the data, it looks like most Venezuelans, regardless if they're happy whether Maduro is gone or not, it looks like they pretty much mostly agree that, U.S. don't need to be taking control over our country. Donald Trump doesn't need to be taking control over our country. At least that's what it appears to be. Now there's Venezuelans in the U.S. celebrating. I heard some Venezuelans celebrating and some expressing concern over the point I just talked about, the second part, because it's broken down. It's like on 1 minute, on 1 minute, it's like they're talking about, do you want Maduro out? Yeah. And so a lot of people are like, yay. Then the second question is, do you want Trump to take over your country and control your country and oil reserves? And the answer is no. Basically, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you get a yay and a no from Venezuelans, half of Venezuelans, and the other half is like no and no, right? So, or I don't know if it's half. Maybe it's 1/3. Maybe it's 1/3 that's like no and no. And maybe the other half is like yay and no, So we had time. There's been time for responses. And let me see where we're going to start it. I'm going to start what was already out there just to keep it funky. And let's see here. There's some international fallout, right? And then but let me start with the scandalous part of it, right? Let's start with the question mark, the wild card, right? And you know exactly who I'm talking about. Let me bring her up right now into this because she is a wild card. It's happening. It's happening here. Here we go. Watch this.
Welcome back. And joining me now is Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. Congresswoman, welcome to Meet the Press.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, what say you, girl?
Thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Looking to hear her step all over Trump. I decided to go the divisive route today, and start off with some Republicans. And what do they think? What does one of Trump's most staunchest allies think about this? Let's hear the breakdown from the far right. I mean, the far right, I don't know which one it is. Is she far right still, or is it like two far rights, the loony bin and the straight up just far right. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, here she is.
Tomorrow is your last day in Congress, so incredibly significant to have you here today.
It's her last day in Congress, Marjorie Greene Taylor, and she's going to break down what she thinks about Trump invading Venezuela. And yes, please do click the like button because it helps more people find the stream. All right, so let's go.
You and President Trump, of course, had an extraordinary break last year. We'll talk all about that in just a moment. But I do want to talk about something you said this weekend in the wake of this attack against Venezuela, removing Nicolas Maduro. You said that the administration's actions were not America first. Now, the president was asked about this idea yesterday. I want to play that clip and get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world.
Why do you disagree, Congresswoman?
How do you say we need that for ourselves? We need that for the world. Which one is it? Is it for ourselves or is it for the world? I mean, I don't get how it could be both. That's that forked tongue devil talk that Trump constantly puts out. I mean, no one would allow you or me or anyone else to say something like that in a level of, responsibility or leadership. It's like, come on. I need it for myself. Look, we need it for ourselves, y'all. And we need it for the world. What are we going to do? Build manufacturing? We're going to build manufacturing for ourselves. And we're going to build it for the world. What do we need, y'all, about our military? Who does our military serve? Our military serves it. We need them for ourselves, and we need them for the world. I mean, it just is more of that bullshit.
Well, you know, I served on the Homeland Security Committee for 3 years, and I am overwhelmingly in support of a strong border. I impeached Secretary Mayorkas. Those were my articles of impeachment that passed the House because fentanyl overdoses skyrocketed to 280% in my own district. And the majority of American fentanyl overdoses and deaths come from Mexico. Those are the Mexican cartels that are killing Americans. And so my pushback here is if this was really about narco-terrorists and about protecting Americans from cartels and drugs being brought into America, the Trump administration would be attacking the Mexican cartels. Now, I am not defending Maduro, and of course, I'm happy for the people of Venezuela to be liberated, but Americans celebrated the liberation of the Iraqi people after Saddam Hussein. They celebrated the liberation of the Libyan people after Gaddafi, and this is the same Washington playbook that we are so sick and tired of, that doesn't serve the American people, but actually serves the big corporations, the banks, and the oil executives. And so my pushback here is on the Trump administration that campaigned on Make America Great Again that we thought was putting America first. I want to see domestic policy be the priority that helps Americans afford life after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. I want to see domestic policies that prioritizes jobs and affordable housing for Americans after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. And I want to see domestic priorities that put Americans first in regards of health care. Health insurance costs too much, car insurance, home insurance. And these are issues that matter to Americans. We don't consider Venezuela our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is right here in the 50 United States, not in the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, let me ask.
You know, I like a lot of what she just said, but my question is this: if the Biden-Harris 4 years was so fucked up, then what do you call this year? What has this year been like for you? If the Biden-Harris 4 years was so messed up, I mean, what do we have here? This is seems like a completely different monster. Like, if you didn't like Biden and Harris, how could you like this? How could you like Trump at all? What is Trump doing better than Biden and Harris? What is he doing better than Biden and Harris? I mean, I would really like to know that. But fuck it, we know that didn't matter to people when they voted. They just pissed people just like to. Americans can sometimes think that just being angry makes you right. Sometimes they think being frustrated makes you right. Wrong. That makes you off in a corner by yourself that can't recognize that other people are frustrated too, but they want some details in their politics. You see what I mean? They want some things for their tax dollars. They want the elected officials to do something about health care. I mean, why did you cut it? That's not the only thing you could have done. You could have made it cheaper while cutting it. Why didn't you do that? God damn. I mean, at least you could have done that, but they didn't even come close. They was like, no, man, just make it more expensive and cut it. Fuck it. Let's run a ham. Ah! And that's exactly what this administration has done. So I'm tired of this Marjorie Greene Taylor shit. Always, she's following this Trumpian rule book. Always go back to Biden and Harris. Biden and Harris only have 4 years, goddamn lady. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell is she talking about? Just drop it. Deal with the facts that this motherfucker that you supported, through thick and thin, has fucked you. Biden and Harris didn't fuck you. Donald J. Trump fucked you. Like, straight up, Donald J. Trump stabbed you in the goddamn back. Stop talking about Biden and Harris. Like, fuck this brainwash shit. This brainwash shit has to stop. You can't just keep repeating the same goddamn lies. That's not America first. Goddamn. Like, come on. That ain't American first either. Stop repeating the fucking lies. Deal with your responsibility. Deal with what you did. You voted for Trump, and this is what you got. Now, what you going to do about it? And stop saying, well, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I know what I'll do. I'll blame Biden and Harris. That ain't doing shit about it. You see? So anyway, let's go.
Ask you, because President Trump says he gets to decide what America First means. Does America First mean whatever President Trump says it does?
You know, America First should mean what was promised on the campaign trail in 2024. So my understanding of America First is strictly for the American people, not for the big donors that donate to big politicians, not for the special interests that constantly roam the halls in Washington.
I agree.
And not foreign countries that demand their priorities put first over Americans. America First actually means for the American people. And the American people have been put last consistently decades and decades by both political parties for far too long.
Okay, so here we go again. Both political parties. I mean, I would say this. This is what I say. Because I think that's way too convenient language. You know what I mean? By both political parties. Like, you ain't been a part of it yourself. God damn it. You were one of them. What the fuck? And she's trying to escape blame by going back to both. Yo, stop that bullshit, man. Listen, first of all, let's get it straight. American fucking people not holding their politicians accountable is how you got here. You are the ones that elected these motherfuckers. Like, what the fuck is don't forget that. You voted for these people. You voted for them. What the hell? When was the last time you heard an American politician say universal health care for all Americans first? When was the last time you heard any of them say that? But you voted for them anyway. You could have done the math. You could have known that universal health care brings the cost of health care down. You could have done that on your own. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you demand that? Why didn't you say higher education guaranteed for all American citizens first? Why didn't you say that? When was the last time you voted for a politician that said anything remotely to that? When was the last time? No, but you voted for a motherfucker like Trump that actually got rid of the student debt relief. You know, come on. How do you think we're going to have trained people and engineers, doctors, all types of quantum physics, all types? How you think we're going to be ahead of technology when we don't even get our own American people into goddamn higher learning? What the fuck? What the fuck? So listen, no mistake about this. This is American people's fucking fault. You voted for this shit. First, it's your fault. And the ones that you didn't vote, shame on you. You need to get out there and vote. And listen, you now have a job to do. You now have a job to do. Yeah, because it's your ass on the line. You need to go out there and say, stop fucking around with this healthcare. We are the richest country on earth. Every American needs to have healthcare. Zero, full stop. Now get your bitch ass out there and get it. That's what you need to fucking say. Stop trying to lean to the party that ain't the majority. Stop trying to lean to play this back and forth tennis match bullshit. You're the one getting banged on the head no matter what. So if you know that, why don't you demand something in your vote? But that's not what's happening with American people right now. A lot of them, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, are still talking about they're not demanding nothing from the ones that's in power right now. The voters, what are you demanding from the ones in power right now? What are you demanding? Are you demanding that? You see what I'm saying? So this is some bullshit. You're not going to get out of it by pivoting. If you're a Republican, when you pivot to a Democrat to answer what are you going to do about health care, and what is your proposal about health care, and you got to pivot to a damn Democrat, and the same thing for a Democrat. We want to know, what is your plan? What do you think can work in the United States without you pivoting to a Republican? And look, ain't no goddamn Democrat got to pivot to no Republican because they're the ones who cut the shit. It's totally obvious. They're the ones in power right now. It's totally obvious. And you're still paying the same tax dollars. And you got less now coverage. So that was your big, beautiful bill. And without that, you would have health care even if you paid a lot. You would still be able to have some, most people. Now you have even less. And you first must deal with why you have less than you had during the Biden-Harris presidency before you begin to talk about Democrats. You got to deal with the first part, honestly. Stop skipping over to the next part. You see what I mean? Somebody said, Racer said, what health care do I have? I got universal health care. I live in Denmark, man. I'm an American citizen, but I live in Denmark. You know, I moved here And I moved here about, 20-something years ago now, 25 years ago. So I've been in Denmark a while now, and I moved here in my 30s, right? Exactly, when I was 30 years old. So born and raised in Washington, D.C. I could see you just joining the channel because most of my viewers know that. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. Both of my parents go back to the colonial period in the U.S. But as a grown-ass man traveling around, I've lived also inside of the country in different places, just as a grown man, lived in different parts of the U.S., New York for one. And then I also lived outside of the U.S. where I live now in Copenhagen, Denmark. So everybody here has universal health care. Everybody here has universal education. And before you get started, don't actually blame it on that. The taxes is high, ain't they? Wrong. Stop it. Wrong. Stop. Get out there, do your due diligence yourself. Stop expecting the TV, CNN, NBC to do a special for you. They're not going to do the special anymore. Stop waiting for a Democrat or a Republican to tell you what it is. Get out there first, do your due diligence, and then they will start to tell people what it is, So there you have it. But let's listen to some more of Marjorie here.
Kids' generation, my kids are 22, 26, and 28, are looking at a future where this whole entire generation doesn't think they'll ever see a Social Security check. They don't believe there'll ever be.
He said, I escaped the rat race. Yeah, basically, it wasn't escape. It was just a choice. When I saw that, shit here is a little different and seems to make sense. Okay, why not? What the fuck? Because, look, I grew up myself. One of the things that particularly I liked about Denmark was that I grew up in Washington, D.C. By the way, Danes and most Europeans, they know American well and American history well, a lot of it. So just in case you don't know that. But, I grew up in Washington, D.C., man. I grew up in I was a teenager in the 90s. In the 80s, 1980, in 85, I'm a teenager. For 83, I'm a teenager and up, 13 years old in 83. By the time, the 90s came in, a lot of shit changed in D.C., a lot of gun violence, a lot of this kind of thing. And, I had to grow up all through that shit. You see what I'm saying? So I grew up, and I still have some triggers, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, straight up. Like, yeah. And, but that kind of environment, you know what I'm saying? As an adult, you reflect on it. You should reflect on it. If you ever have the time to reflect on it, it's good. If you ever had time to read some Franz Fanon books or read about the psychology, you see what I mean, of the mind, you can start to see that, you carry around a lot of wasted baggage. These kind of things that go on become wasted baggage. You ever heard that Erykah Badu song? She's talking about women, carrying baggage around. You know what I'm saying? What's that song that she got? It's a beautiful song, by the way. I forget the Erykah Badu song, but in any case, we all do when we grow up in that environment. And so when I came to Denmark, I could see Denmark was without a lot of that shit, man. And to me, that was cool. I liked that. I appreciated that. I appreciated it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I kind of, got involved with Bag Lady. Exactly. That's how I decided to, stay in Denmark and make Denmark my home, to be honest with you. Right. It's not to say I didn't have thoughts at times, you know what I mean? But actually, overall, it's the best decision I made in my life. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, having looked at things, especially things today, when you look at it, if I get sick, I can go to the doctor. Your kids go to higher education, regardless of how much money you have. Everybody's kids do that. So how high they want to reach is not up to you. It's up to themselves as an individual. So that's one of the beautiful things about Denmark, and thing that Danes appreciate. And that has something to do with the revolution in the 60s and 70s here in Denmark, the economic revolution, the revolution to kind of merge, fill in the gap between the rich and the poor. They had that too. You see what I mean? The U.S. didn't have that built into the civil rights movement. Denmark did. Actually, in the 70s and the 60s. So just for people to know. But in any case, let's hear some more.
Be able to afford to own their own home, and 50-year mortgages are really a slap in the face.
Isn't that what Kamala Harris said? Didn't Kamala Harris say this when she was on the campaign trail? She actually did.
Insulting. Americans don't want $2,000 stimulus checks as a payoff. They want to have good policies brought forth for them, because you want to know something, Kristen? They voted for this administration, and their small dollar donation should matter. And MAGA has its own enemy list, and the enemies of the world are not on their enemy list. And they're
damn, that's very revealing. You hear that? MAGA have its own enemy list, and none of the U.S. enemies from around the world are on it. Yup. Okay.
This administration, and their small dollar donation should matter. And MAGA has its own enemy list, and the enemies of the world are not on their enemy list, and they're tired of being ignored.
Let me ask you about your breakup with President Trump. Part of that was over this battle over releasing the Epstein files in September. After a meeting with a group of Epstein survivors, you'd held a news conference and threatened to identify some of the men.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not Ian. Is that Lonnie? Lanny? What's up, Lanny? Appreciate it. Leonard, what's up? Or Lenny, what's up? Sorry about that. What's up, Lenny?
And who had abused them.
Robert.
The New York Times Magazine reported that President Trump called you in your office afterwards and, quote, according to a staff member, everyone in the suite of rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on speakerphone. Green says she expressed her perplexity over his intransigence. According to Green, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." What do you think President Trump...
What? Damn, wait a second. Yeah, I heard a lot about this. There was a lot of talk about this, but I never really went into it, because I thought about it like, man, Marjorie Greene Taylor saw a whole lot of people get threatened by Trump and didn't say nothing until it was her. I thought that was foul. Again, something else to remember about her. Like, so when you listen to her now, just remember loads of people went through what she went through. People even died. People were fucking killed. 2 Democratic leaders were killed. 2 Democratic representatives, politicians were killed, and more on and on and on. And so it kind of makes you wonder, like, what's up with this? You know what I'm saying? But I'm a person that believes in, you have to engage people on the facts, no matter who they are. And if the facts happen to align with yours, then you can work with them on any set of issues until they prove otherwise, So.
Your office afterwards and, quote, according to a...
Yeah, he worried about his rich friends, not the victims. That's cold-blooded. But then again, Kamala Harris already told people that. But those people clapping for Marjorie didn't clap for Kamala Harris. It's,
Staff member...
Or I'm talking about the Republican people now that dig Marjorie. They didn't dig it when Kamala Harris said. They didn't dig it when she was talking about housing with Kamala Harris. They didn't dig it. All of a sudden, she's talking about, I might as well call her the MAGA Kamala, right? Isn't that something Trump? The MAGA Kamala. Hello, MAGA Kamala. It sounds to me like she gonna start saying a lot of the same shit, like straight up.
Everyone in the suite of rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on...
Marjorie Taylor is the MAGA Kamala Harris of the 20s. I don't know.
Speakerphone. Green says she expressed her perplexity over his intransigence. According to Green, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt."
What the hell? My friend, and he ain't even talking about hurt, really. He's talking about just like image scarred, business hurt. He's not talking about hurt like killed, like people that's the victims of Epstein talk about killed and death threats and all that shit. He ain't even talking about death threats. He's just talking about their image will be hurt, their money will be hurt a little bit.
What do you think President Trump meant by "my friends will get hurt," Congresswoman?
I've been asking that question ever since, and I make no apologies for standing with women and victims of rape, because in this country, there are far too many victims of rape. All walks of men and women alike have been victims of rape or some type of child abuse. And the Epstein files is significant.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
And demanding transparency for that should not lead to the president, who I helped get elected and supported far more than pretty much any Republican in Washington. It should not have led to him calling me a traitor. That is
Why not? He done called everybody else worse, man. He's like, he called the dogs out on everybody and shit already. He's like, he should not have called me a traitor. You didn't know he was capable of that?
Absolutely unacceptable. And the American people.
That's where I draw the red line. You called people, you called me a traitor. Notice how she didn't say, I don't understand how he could have called other people traitors. Nope. She ain't say that. She said me.
Rejected. Yeah. But here's what should be prioritized is victims. And victims of an entire system that protected the rich, powerful elites. And that's what Americans are absolutely.
It is true, though. She's right on that one, though. I give her credit. I told you, it's just about the facts. If she's right, she's right, period.
Sick and tired of. That was part of what they voted for in 2024. They voted to tear down the system that protects the rich, powerful elites. They voted to tear down the system that consistently goes for foreign wars and regime change. They voted to tear down the system that does nothing for regular, hardworking Americans and only consistently props up the big banks, the military-industrial complex, and the oil executives and major industries. But
a lot of the MAGA they voted for other things. Like they voted for, they really, in a lot of their campaigns, Trump spent a lot of time talking about transsexuals, right? He spent a lot of time talking about woke. He spent a lot of time talking about other Americans that were just good, hardworking Americans that earned their points in American history, that sacrificed their lives for the blood, that shed blood for the United States of America. They attacked them. Trump spent most of his time running not on these things that she's talking about, actually. I mean, he might have talked about foreign wars or he talked about that too, but he spent a lot of time attacking other Americans that paid taxes, whose family members died for the country, and he has done things to those people while being in office. And MAGA people voted for that too. They voted for that too, because I know some of them, and every time I tried to say, hey, damn, man, why are you against student debt relief, for example? They didn't care. Why are you against a woman's right to control her body? Women are dying because they can't have abortions. I mean, these fetuses, this thing that takes place in their body doesn't necessarily always develop properly. It can kill women sometimes if they don't have a damn abortion. And these MAGA people were like, so what? Fuck you. Jesus, you're a murderer. They don't even understand medicine to even understand that can kill people. That kills women. Women have serious health issues in the United States of America. And yet they say that's woke. When you talk about women's suffrage movement, that's woke. When you talk about a lot of these things, that's woke. Got to get rid of that. Got to get rid of this. Got to get rid. So Trump actually got rid of a lot of those things. He attacked a lot of people. And now you're about to pay higher prices for healthcare. The people that have healthcare are just going to pay more. So how is it? Just don't fall for the okie doke. She's leaving out the other bad things that he did, and she's leaving out the bad things that MAGA people supported too. And that was attacking other Americans. You see, now let me tell you, if you feel like you've ever been the victim of injustice, which a lot of MAGA supporters do, then why would you be against any form of justice? Why would you be against that? Why would you be against getting reparative damages? Why would you be against that? Why would you be against a justice system that acknowledges that you had a bad shot? Why would you be against that? You see what I mean? But MAGA people are against that when it happens to other people that aren't them. That's the problem. So they didn't vote for equality. They voted for inequality. And this is what they got. That's what Trump did. And it doesn't matter. Because just because you thought that's what you were voting for doesn't mean you voted for a person that really wanted to give it to you or even cared about you at all. What you did was vote for a person that walked in, Elon Musk, who has three different citizenships, the richest man on earth, into your grandmama's pension, into the Treasury Department. That's what you did. That's exactly what you did. And you subsidized through your taxes his businesses. Peter Thiel, 3 citizenships. That's what you did. Trump is funneling money taxpayer dollars into their businesses. That's what you voted for. Peter Thiel got 3 different citizenships, not like most of you broke ass maggots. Okay? Peter Thiel wouldn't be caught dead in a room with you. Most of you people that voted for him. And look at where they not sticking up for Marjorie Greene Taylor. When was the last time you seen Elon Musk and Marjorie Greene Taylor out there risking their ass for her? I mean, Elon Musk and Peter Thiel out there risking their ass for Marjorie Greene Taylor. When was the last time you saw that? You ain't going to see it. You see, you're never going to see it. So you might agree with Marjorie Greene Taylor, but the other side is going to take her ass out. The other side is gunning for her. The people that you voted for are gunning for her. Don't you realize that? And you have no one else to defend you. The only other people you have to defend you are the people that didn't vote for Trump. Who are them? Who are they? Democrats. That's who they are. That's who you can lean on, Marjorie Greene Taylor. You can lean on Democrats. The rest of you split maggots that all of a sudden woke up and now you agree with Marjorie Greene Taylor. Guess who you're going to have to work with? Democrats. Get it through your thick head. Okay? Now let's go.
And, you want to know something? After this regime change in Venezuela, I fear that we're going to see jobs just move south because we're already hearing about big corporations lining up their trips to Venezuela for the next big business opportunity that exists, while Americans sit here with no options that are going to provide them with good paying jobs and affordable health care.
Congresswoman, let me finally ask you about one of the rifts and concerns in the Republican Party over the issue of anti-Semitism. In 2022, you did...
Great question. Tricky question for Marjorie Greene Taylor. What's your view on anti-Semitism?
Speak at a conference organized by Nick Fuentes. He's a white nationalist. He recently said that Hitler is, quote, cool.
Trick question.
Let me ask you about your perspective right now. Do you believe there is room in the Republican Party for Nick Fuentes and anyone who shares that ideology that Hitler is cool?
Here's my situation and here's my belief on people's speech. I will always...
Oh, ooh, Marjorie, how dare you? The freedom of speech card. Oh, you see? So you're not going pretty much anywhere. You're not going pretty much anywhere. That's exactly what I was talking about. See, they didn't vote for someone who cared about the cost of health care. They didn't vote for someone who cared about access to education for lower and middle class. See, they didn't vote for someone who actually cared about housing prices. They knew they were voting for someone that is okay with hate speech and being bigoted and opening up a whole window lane for bigots to just run out there and harass people. Bigoted policy. They knew that's what they were voting for. You see what I mean? So you can't have it both ways, Marjorie Greene Taylor. You can't have it both ways. And Jewish people, just keep in mind, she's telling you right now, she agree that you should be able to say any hateful shit about Jewish people, period. Every single time you ask about the price of eggs in the store, you should be able to say some hateful shit about Jews, and that's just going to be acceptable. You know, over the airways. This is what they're exposing right here. This is what they're exposing.
The First Amendment and free speech, no matter what kind of speech it is, even speech that I find abhorrent or I disagree with.
Yeah, we know.
Because I think that makes us uniquely American. What concerns me?
Hey, yo. That definitely does not make you. People know how to be prejudiced all over the goddamn world. What is this lady talking about? That's what makes us uniquely American. Shit, what the fuck? No goddamn sociology class taught you that. What the fuck? She finds the bigots to be what makes us uniquely American. Man, what the fuck is this? This some bullshit, yo. She's a damn hustler. I mean, seriously, she's a hustler. She's a hustler. You know what I'm saying? She's a fucking hustler. Freedom of speech is a right. Hate speech is not. Get it straight. Freedom of speech is. Hate speech should not be. You know what I'm saying? And hate laws should not be either. You see what I mean? Let alone, because keep in mind, laws, people can be polite and be hateful and bigoted and prejudiced. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, she was wrong. Listen, If she just said that's what makes us uniquely American, that's a goddamn lie. Now put a 1 in the chat if that's a goddamn lie, and put a 2 in the chat if you think that's the truth.
Will always.
I want to know who the dummies are out here.
Defend the. And here's my belief on people's speech. I will always.
Put a 1 in the chat if what she said is some bullshit. Put a 2 in the chat if what she said is speech. That makes us. Here, let me say that again. If you think being able to say bigoted things under the guise of hate speech, under the guise of freedom of speech, is what makes us uniquely American, put a 2 in the chat. If you think it's some bullshit, put a 1 in the chat. I'm just saying.
Always defend the First Amendment and free speech, no matter what kind of speech it is, even speech that I find abhorrent or I disagree with, because I think that makes us uniquely American.
Does that make us uniquely American? That's bullshit. It doesn't. Do you know how many countries have freedom of speech? You see what I'm saying? And the reality of it is that this is a conversation that a lot of countries are having, because what do you want to have? Do you want to have society split up, divided over the algorithm, where these people like Elon Musk and them control the algorithm and are just spreading hate speech and division? And so somebody like Elon Musk can own your whole country, or someone can use the hate speech to divide people, so that all of a sudden a right wing that wants to invite Putin in to, destroy everybody's country. Is that what you want? Because that's what they used it for. That's what they did in the U.S. And you have to examine any type of threat. Okay. You should be able to stop focusing on what you don't like and focus in the United States of America, because the United States of America has a lot of things that are missing compared to other Western societies. You should be able in the U.S. to focus on the things you don't have without talking about someone you don't like. There's enough missing in the tax law for you to talk about what you don't have versus other people you don't like. The conversation about other people you don't like is much smaller than the problems that exist in the tax code. You see what I mean? And how your taxes are spent. You got to make a choice. And this election, people did make a choice, because look, let me tell you, Democrats aren't Democrats because they necessarily like every aspect of life. Okay? There's plenty of Democrats that may share some prejudices. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody can be prejudiced to some degree. You see what I mean? But that doesn't mean they choose to vote prejudice. That's the difference. That means a lot of them tend to vote on key things that we all need first. All need first. Everybody needs clean water. Everybody needs affordable energy. Everybody needs affordable housing. Everybody needs affordable health care. Everybody needs affordable education. Everybody needs those. I don't fucking care if a man chooses to wear a motherfucking dress. You can't use that to scapegoat. That's what Democrats are. It doesn't mean I'm trying to wear a fucking dress myself. What the fuck? It means I'm not stupid enough to focus on that over everything else that fucking matters to everyone around me. That's what that means. You see what I mean? And this Marjorie Greene Taylor, she refuses to just admit that that's what you did. You got suckered. You got fucking suckered. You got suckered. That's what that shit is. You see what I'm saying? That's all that is. What the fuck? Admit it. That's what it is. Democrats are not focusing on these little things they don't like because they know the larger things are at fucking stake. And these type of people with these politics always get you to focus on the small amount of things that no one really, that actually are not the big issues. It's crazy, man. She better admit it.
What concerns me is that when we move towards censorship, and we saw that happen during COVID. I myself had my own Twitter account permanently banned because I spoke out against FDA rushed approval of the COVID vaccines. And I spoke out against lockdowns and forced masking. And, you know, when I look at people saying that certain types of speech needs to be censored, and we have been hearing that lately, that raises great concern for me. So I think it's...
I mean, look, all you have to do is put yourself in the minority's position. Look, it's a lot of people that would fall under the, you know, if you have to use this term, if that would fall under the term white, that listen to my programming, right? Not that they call themselves that, not that they even identify that, but they could fall into that category by someone else calling them that, right? Now, here's the bottom line. If your child is white, quote unquote, and goes to a school with majority black kids, do you want your kid being harassed because they're white? Is that what you want? Do you want your kid called a cracker every fucking day of the week, and you want the school teacher to just say, oh, well, sorry, Johnny, that's just a word, cracker. It doesn't mean anything. It's just cracker. You know, is that what you want? Or do you want the black teacher to tell all the children, listen, it's not your right to call anyone in this institution outside of their name or their title? Is that what you want the damn teacher to say? You have to decide. You know, but a lot of times people don't want to put themselves in the minority situation. You see what I mean? Somebody said, is it already that way? No, it's not. What are you talking about? No, because of Marjorie Greene Taylor. She's telling you freedom of speech trumps all of that. Don't you get that? You see? I mean, and this is not a new conversation in the U.S., actually, you know, but for some reason, the conversation never really comes forward. You know, it's just the bottom line is that anybody should be able to understand this issue. Anyone should understand that, understanding that women should have the right to control their body. That should be understood that, hey, you should have that right. Very simple, you know, and that's where the right wing goes crazy, because on one hand, they want to say that it's just about freedom of speech. No. It's about also other women. It's also other issues of discrimination. Not just freedom of speech, not just how you use speech. It's also women are being denied the right to control their bodies by a political party. They are, by people that vote to it. So women are forced to have babies right now in the United States, have dead fetuses. Women are forced to give birth to dead fetuses in the United States of America. That's what it is. So, you know, there's so many issues. All you have to do is put yourself in someone else's situation before you make a decision and ask yourself, is that fair? You see, and the same thing should be done with this whole speech thing. Hate speech is not legal speech. You do know you can be sued for that, right? Don't you know you can be sued for hate speech? Do you need someone to tell you what hate speech is? So stop trying to broaden hate speech and make it more accessible to people. Why don't we just acknowledge what it is? You see what I'm saying? Why don't we just, I'm absolutely sure you could be sued for hate speech. You didn't know that? You don't know what hate crimes are? You didn't know that? I suggest you go look it up yourself and stop assuming. You see what I'm saying? Like, stop assuming. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There are hate crimes, and there are criminal ones, and there are also civil ones. So, but in any case,
something that we have to take seriously is
I'm definitely for, listen, you guys, look at this. This is ridiculous. You're already censored. There's loads of censoring you accept in your life all the time. What are you talking about? You think speech will be the only thing you're censored on? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? As an American citizen, can you be so stupid to think the only thing that you are censored on is speech already, and you willingly accept being censored on it every fucking day? Like, get the fuck out of here. You have freedom of religion, right? But you are censored in your fucking religion. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are censored in the practice of your religion, but you have freedom of religion. That's the same thing with speech. Okay? There is the example. You have freedom of religion, but you are censored in your freedom. And you accept it every goddamn day of the week, or you will be fucking thrown in jail. You better understand that. And I ain't going to waste any more time with it. If you're an American citizen, you need to do your due diligence. Do your due diligence on this, you know? Anyway.
Americans, we don't have to agree with each other, and we certainly can disagree, but we should overwhelmingly agree that free speech must be protected.
Well,
it's the same conversation. Freedom of religion must be protected. It's the same conversation. There's no other conversation going on. It's the same conversation. And you are restricted. You are restricted in your freedom in practicing what is in those books fully. You are restricted. And language is the same way. Okay, so just keep it straight. I mean, and there's other restrictions you live with happily every single fucking day. You just don't realize it because you allow politicians to scapegoat the conversation. That's what it is. And next thing you know, you voting for Putin. There you have it.
During COVID, you did compare lockdowns to the Holocaust. I understand your point about free speech, but let me press you there because Nick Fuentes has said on his podcast, quote, Hitler was awesome.
That's a misquote. Kristen, that's a misquote. That's a misquote. That's not correct. I compared vaccine cards, being forced to take a vaccine in order to be able to keep a job or buy or sell or be able to be admitted to restaurants. I compared that. I was not comparing. The Holocaust was horrible. I'm not comparing anything to.
Do they all agree with that? Okay, so she's trying to draw a line between Nick Fuentes and say that now she won't go that far, Okay, but I want to see what the reporter's follow-up is here.
To that.
Let me just ask you, though, because Nick Fuentes has said on his podcast, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. The Holocaust didn't happen. He also participated in the Charlottesville rally where demonstrators chanted, Jews will not replace us. Senator Ted Cruz says this is a time for choosing. He says if you're embracing someone who says Hitler is cool, you are complicit in that evil. Do you think Ted Cruz has a point that you'd be complicit?
Hitler was cool is the same thing as saying slavery was cool. It's the same thing. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. It's not, and it's problematic language, and, you might not get thrown in jail for saying it. You could be sued. It depends. I'm telling you, it depends. And you don't have freedom of speech. Listen, there's people that have been sued over what they have called other people. You don't have the right to call a person. What you have the right to do in the U.S. is call a person by their name and their title. That's what you have the right to address them as. You see, anything else is up for grabs. Could be a crime, could be a civil action. You see what I mean? Or it could be nothing. You see what I mean? So you just don't have the right to say any goddamn thing you want at work. You don't have the right to say anything you want in a public place. You don't have the right to say, now you could go home to your mirror and say all the things you want to yourself. You see what I mean? And it won't matter, right? But the moment you leave your house, there's other guidelines, and what you do affects other people. It's just like smoking cigarettes. There's places you can't smoke cigarettes anymore, even if you're a cigarette smoker. Why? Because it contaminates the air. You see what I mean? There's places you can't smoke weed because it contaminates the air for other people. Everybody doesn't want to be around smokers. You see what I mean? So you have to understand that. You see? It's just that way, and you have to look at it that way, and just understand it's going to come back to you one day. If you don't stand up for someone else's right, it could be your kid's turn. There's a lot of people that need to understand that you could end up in the same situation if you don't uphold these laws that can help protect certain groups of people. It can also be your group of people added as the victim list soon. You see what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. And there's no need for people to be publicly victimizing each other. That's not keeping us together. That's not helping us deal with other issues like healthcare, education, and all of this stuff. Bigoted language is something we need to grow, move apart from, and get better at dissecting and removing from our speech. You see what I mean? Like, just straight up, it doesn't help anybody. And it also doesn't help the people that use it, because then they get locked in their own little corner of the world. Their corner of the world becomes based on who they hate and fallacies about other people instead of being based on something strong. You see what I'm saying? What do we need to become stronger? It's like, in
that evil to support or in any way fail to denounce what Nick Fuentes has said.
You haven't listened?
That's interesting. Damn, she actually calling it. She's putting Marjorie Greene Taylor to the test right here with those questions. That's not too bad. I'm actually glad I started with this. I didn't see it, so Let's hear her answer.
Kristen,
First,
I don't know.
let me hear the answer. The
Ted
question
Cruz
one
has
more
a
time.
point. This is a time for choosing. He says if you're embracing someone
And I don't even know who the hell Ted Cruz. Okay, yeah, all right.
who says Hitler is cool, you are complicit in that evil. Do you think Ted Cruz has a point that you'd be complicit in that evil to support or in any way fail to denounce what Nick Fuentes has said?
Kristen, I don't know Nick Fuentes. I don't even have his phone number. He doesn't have my phone number. I
Oh, wow.
spoke at a conference of his because it was largely attended by young Americans, and I care about that generation, and I went there to talk directly to them. So I really am not familiar with what Nick Fuentes says, whether it's on social media or his podcast. Nor do I pay that much attention to Ted Cruz. He routinely attacks me. The things that I focus on is the needs of the American
But should he be embraced in the
And I'm not
Republican
going to
Party,
get-
Congresswoman? Is there room for him in the Republican Party?
Kristen, I don't think that this is about the Republican Party, and it's not about Nick Fuentes. I see this about free speech, and I'm going to sit here and tell you over and over again, I defend the First Amendment. I will.
I mean, in all fairness, let's be obvious. I mean, she ran, you know, and she supported Trump, and she talked a lot about other people that aren't like the people that she talked about are not people that supported the big, beautiful, ugly bill cutting healthcare. See what I mean? And to me, it seems like she's having a hard time admitting to herself that she was attacking people that wanted her and her community to have fair access to healthcare. I think to me, that's what this sounds like. You know what I mean? Because she was really out there going after people, you know, for cultural, you know, their sexuality, their, you know, how they dress or whatever their predicament is with their, you know, with their being as a person, you know, and none of those people voted against any of them having health care. You see what I mean? Like none of them were against that. And now she's just like, you know, I think trying to talk her way around it and you know, to act like she doesn't have to apologize to those people. No, lady, apologize to them. You were wrong. They wasn't trying to take something from you, and you were caught up with taking something from them that doesn't even affect your life. I mean, that shit is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Will defend free speech, whether I like the speech, agree with the speech, disagree with the speech, hate the speech.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. Politicians, when you're in the Congress, when you're in the Senate, you know, I think they can't be, you know, there's the way that the law should apply should be a little different because they're there to speak for their constituency, and they do really need to get ideas out of their mouth and express them, whatever those ideas are, and you can vote against them or you can admonish them. But just in the everyday public where everyone pays taxes to understand this, people of all different backgrounds pay taxes to go to school. Why shouldn't they be safe and free of hate speech? You know, that's the issue right there. If you all pay taxes, why do you have to deal with fucking hate speech? And are you all dealing with hate speech? You see, I think that's the other issue she's confused about. You know, she may not even realize that, you know, when you're the majority in a situation, the hate speech is less towards your group. When you're the minority, the hate speech is larger towards your group. She's not even understanding the power dynamics there. And listen, these power dynamics can exist around kids that look like her too. Just move them to another community. Now, would you want people openly being able to use hate speech toward them? You know, that's like, I mean, I just think she's missing it, you know, but I'm not expecting her to get it. But in any case, we heard her ass. Now let's go to the next person. Let's get back on Maduro. Let's get back on Maduro here. Let's see. Maduro was taken out of the country, and Marjorie Greene Taylor, she was supposed to talk about that. She doesn't agree. She doesn't call it America First. She doesn't call it America First, removing, and I agree with her, although I don't agree with this kind of scapegoating she's trying to do and hop skip around the issue of hate speech. It just shows you that she's still flawed about some things. listen, you people that support Marjorie Greene Taylor, understand something. If you want to get anything out of this next election, you better be prepared to make sacrifices to the Democratic Party. You better be prepared to work with the Democratic Party, because they're the only ones that got your back on any of these issues. They're the only ones. They're the only ones. And I'm not saying just trust the elite. I'm not saying trust that they're perfect either. I'm just saying, look, the bottom line is they've been talking about a lot of these things Marjorie Greene Taylor is talking about, and you didn't vote for. You didn't vote for those things when it was a Democrat saying those things. You voted for Trump, which is crazy,
Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining.
No, I can't say her name correctly. I confuse it. Is it Marjorie Greene Taylor or Marjorie Taylor Greene? Which one is it? Which one is it? I don't. Is it? Because if it's not written out in front of my face, I don't really remember it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember it. You know what I'm saying? But the voters did not vote for cheaper health care. MAGA voters did not vote for affordable health care. They didn't. It's Taylor Greene. Okay. MTG. Yeah. They did not. And that's the point right there. If the voters don't vote for it, then it's not going to be a part of the platform of the party they vote for. They didn't talk about cheaper health care. It wasn't a priority. Housing was not a priority. The Republicans had no plan for cheaper housing. They had no plan. They didn't have to offer a plan. They didn't have to offer a plan on health care. They didn't have to offer a plan on education. You don't realize it? You forgot already? You forgot what the last election cycle was like already? So it's you who didn't prioritize those things. The people that voted for Trump did not prioritize those things. And now they do for some reason. Okay, but you didn't say it before. Okay, you didn't even ask Democrat questions. The Democrats or the other people who were talking about these things. You didn't even go to their rallies and say, I need to find out more about their plan to do this. No, you didn't. You just didn't vote for them because you were bigoted. You were against woke. So you got shook when 1% was, 0 point something percent were trannies voting for Democrats. You got shook about housing. You got shook over health care. You got shook over education because it just wasn't Puritan white, which is crazy. Which is crazy because you ain't even getting a DNA test to find out where you come from or what your ethnic background is or none of that shit. You just let them use that as a magic wand to get you to vote against and not even listen to anyone else talking about housing, education, childcare, and health care. Very simple. Elder care. That wasn't even part of the Republican platform. Nothing about elder care. No word. So you have to deal with the facts. The only party that talked about those things is the Democratic Party and maybe a few independents. That's it. These Republicans didn't talk about the shit. And you didn't vote for anyone who did. You voted for Trump. And he ain't give a fuck about those things.
Yes.
He just didn't.
This morning, President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil.
No illegal authority.
Well, that means their economy went up.
Venezuela. This morning, President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met.
Look, there's nothing in the international law that says Venezuela has to do things that are in the interest of the United States. Ukraine doesn't have to do things that are in the interest of Russia. Okay. Nigeria doesn't have to do things that are in the interest of Ghana. If they want to, they can. But they don't have to. Okay. South Africa doesn't have to do things that are in interest to, let's say, Zimbabwe. There's nothing in the law, international law, that says that. Canada doesn't have to do things that are in the interest to the United States. Mexico doesn't have to do things that are in the interest of the United States. Panama doesn't have to do things that are in the interest of Colombia. It's just nothing there. This is nothing there. That's not part of the deal. There's nowhere that is unobtainable. What you get through working relationship is because you reach out to other people, you hear their concerns, and you make concessions among each other regarding concerns that both parties have. And if you can reach some mutual ground on anything, you're free to move forward. But there's no law that says you have to agree. There's no law. It's just simple. You actually need to treat people nice if you want them to agree and work with you. That's what you really have to do, you know? And this guy is like, it's crazy because he just like bypassed the damn question. Like, here, let's listen to this again. This is crazy.
President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is
he didn't even answer the question. He didn't even answer the question. Under what legal authority? So anybody want to cite some legal paragraphs in the law? Under what legal authority? I'm curious about that. Just type me the paragraph and we will look it up. Under what legal authority? I'm curious.
Thanks. We're joined now by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that
He didn't answer it. He didn't mention any chapter in any law, international law or domestic law. Not one.
Have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains. That leverage is ongoing. And he
didn't ask what leverage. He asked under what law. What law? Nothing about leverage. Only about under what law. Let's hear it again.
Thanks. We're joined now by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Under what legal authority is the question. The only question. Under what legal authority? Legal means there's a law. Recite the law, the paragraph. I don't see any MAGA people reciting any paragraphs in the chat. So, yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit. Any legal paragraph? What's the legal paragraph? Under what legal authority? Click the like button, too, while we wait, y'all. Subscribe to my channel while we wait. You know, this is just a question that anybody would ask. Everyone would ask under what legal authority, because obviously you have to follow the law. You see what I mean? So if you can't recite the paragraph, you can't recite the law. That means you don't have any legal authority to refer to. So I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, do you like when people break your car window and steal your stereo? You would ask, under what legal authority did you do that? And you would say what? Would you say, I don't know. They just had the means to do it. I don't know. They just intended on doing it. That's what their intent is breaking my car window and stealing my fucking stereo. I mean, is that what you would say? Is that what you would say? I mean, what the fuck? You know, in other words, they don't want the fucking law. They're admitting they have no legal authority, just like the crackhead that throws a brick in your window and steals your fucking stereo doesn't have legal authority. That's what you want to be. You want to commit crimes like that. That's basically what it is. That's basically what no legal authority, motherfucker. I was just committed to doing it. What the fuck? I was just determined to do it. That's it. It's like, come on.
Yes, we're joined now by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means they're
under what legal authority, crackhead? Well, first of all, what's going to happen here? I'm going to bust your goddamn window open. I'm going to take that motherfucking stereo, okay? And I'm determined to do that. And what legal authority? We're going to talk about that later. But what you going to do right now is give me that motherfucking stereo. This is just what it sounds like when Mark Rubio says it.
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until
I got a quarantine on your car stereo. So that means you ain't going to be able to drive this car until I get this goddamn stereo. What the fuck?
We're joined now by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all,
it took him a long time. I don't even think he knew what that question means and shit. He's like, he never heard that question before. Under what legal? Look, the motherfucking head of the State Department, Secretary of State, doesn't know what the question under what legal authority means. He don't fucking know. He's the head of the state.
We're joined now by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here
This is a stick up. Run me them jewels, goddammit. Run me them jewels. What you not going to do is ask me about legal authority, okay? He's like, damn, he's not even attempting to be a good liar and shit. He's just like, he just skipped it like, do I have to answer with legal authority again? God, do you really have to make me say it? None. Zero. We have no legal authority to run Venezuela. That is the correct answer. Okay?
Pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that
we're going to have a new country. It's going to be called USA Venezuela. You know, because it's going to be in both of our interests. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going to happen is going to be in both of our interests. We're going to merge countries. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're no longer, Venezuelans are all going to be, we're all going to be under the same umbrella, all voting for the same presidency. We're going to all have the same parliament. You know what I mean? Like, we're just going to merge it. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be under all our interests. Your healthcare system will be our healthcare system. Your education system will be our education system. Okay? I mean, I don't know what he's trying to say.
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains. That leverage is ongoing. And we expect that it's going to lead to results.
That's like saying, I kidnapped your family member and you're going to do what I say. Basically, that's all I hear. I kidnapped your family and now you're going to do what we say. Listen, bring the motherfucking money to the drop spot. Don't bring nobody with you. You know what I'm saying? And if we see anybody following you, the deal is off. Like, that is crazy. The man just admitting to crimes. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm not an expert, by the way. But it sounds to me like he's admitting to crimes. Like, we're confiscating your oil until we have a deal. Like, damn, this is crazy,
Here, we're hopeful that it does. Positive results for the people of Venezuela, but ultimately, most importantly for us, in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our hemisphere a Venezuela that's the crossroads for many of our adversaries around the world, including Iran and Hezbollah, is no longer sending us drug gangs, is no longer sending us drug boats.
This is the thing, so he's saying that Venezuela. Okay, so how many other countries have the same issue? How many other countries have the issue? And where does the issue really start? Where did the issue start at? You know what I mean? And crossroads for our enemies. What enemies are you talking about? Russia? Motherfucking Trump just laid the red carpet out to Russia in Alaska. What enemies are you talking about? Like, yeah. This don't make any sense, and it's obvious that they didn't think about this much. This seems like a rush, and I did say that before. Like, Trump won't be in office long. He's a sickly man, he's old, stank, and he doesn't look well. He has holes in his hands. Obviously, from what I don't know, is it shooting up heroin or is it taking IVs? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Is it injecting something else in his body? I don't know. But he has discoloration. The man falls asleep. He can't walk in a straight line. He talks like he's drunk or high. He falls asleep like he's passing out on motherfucking heroin. I mean, Trump acts like a Manchurian candidate. You know what I mean? He could be, he could be taking orders from Putin. He sure seems to fear Putin. Ukraine don't even fucking fear Putin. And Trump, the motherfucker fears Putin. Like, does what he says. Like, it's really, really weird. I don't understand it. But Marco Rubio is obviously, him and JD Vance are just lame. I don't see how either one of them can be vice president or can be not vice president, but could be in the cabinet, could be part of the administration, and let alone become president. I don't see how it's going to work. They're lame. They're lame, basically.
Is no longer a narco trafficking paradise for all those drugs coming out of Colombia to go in through the Caribbean and towards the United States. And obviously, we want a better future for the people of Venezuela. We want them to have an oil industry where the wealth goes to the people, not to a handful of corrupt individuals and stolen by pirates all over the world. That's what we're working towards, and we intend to use the leverage we have to help achieve that.
Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States?
Stopanopolis is not bullshitting. He took up all that goddamn time filibustering and shit, and here we are, the same damn question again. How many minutes is this? This is 1 minute. He took 1 minute and 20 seconds. But he took about 1 minute and 10 seconds with that long ass soliloquy and shit. And this man just asked him the same damn question again.
To help achieve that.
Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela?
Well, I explained to you what our goals are and how we're going to use the leverage to make it happen. As far as what our legal authority is on the quarantine, I'm very simple. We have court orders. These are...
That's not... No. Damn, he's going to be like, I'm going to ask you one more time again.
Sanctioned boats, and we get orders from courts to go after and seize these sanctions. So that's, I don't know, is a court not a legal authority?
So is the United States running Venezuela right now?
Well, I've explained once again, I'll do it one more time. What we are running is the direction that this is going to moving forward. And that is, we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already.
He can't even say that they're running Venezuela. He can't even say, Trump already said that. Why can't he say it? That's, and this guy's supposed to be the head of the State Department. He can't just say what Trump said. He can't say it.
You can see where they are running out of storage capacity. In a few weeks, they're going to have to start pumping oil unless they make changes. And that leverage that we have with the armada of boats that are currently positioned allow us to seize any sanctioned boats coming into or out of Venezuela, loaded with oil or on its way in to pick up oil.
Look,
we can pick and...
the U.S. has backed itself into a corner with Venezuela. Just these kind of statements. I'm sorry, again, and I'm not claiming to be an expert, although you will be surprised in how much, international law I might have, taken interest in. You see what I mean? Now, you'll be surprised because I don't talk about a lot of things all the time. But the bottom line is that what he's saying is not legal because there's negative consequences. What if they don't do anything and they starve to death? Who's going to take responsibility for that? Who's going to take responsibility for it? What if they don't change their mind? What's going to happen? Who's responsible? You see, so only the person applying the force is responsible. So this question is going to backfire. These statements are going to backfire on Rubio legally, and on the U.S. legally, if not Rubio,
And that is...
Venezuela right now.
Is a court not a legal authority?
So is the United States running Venezuela right now?
Well, I've explained once again, I'll do it one more time. What we are running is the direction that this is going to moving forward. And that is, we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already. You can see where they are running out of storage capacity. In a few weeks, they're going to have to start pumping oil unless they make changes. And that leverage that we have with the armada of...
Unless they're going to, in a few weeks, you hear him, he's telling you that they will be deprived, that they will be starved, that the people will be starved. This dude is a fucking idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. He that's not clever. That's not clever. And that's also wrong legally. You know, I mean, you don't understand that you can't do that? He doesn't understand that you can't do that. You know, this guy, he's not answering the question correctly, regardless of what his view is, right, of Maduro, or what his view is of any, I mean, you know.
Boats that are currently positioned.
I'm going to let people hear that. One more time, and you decide. You decide yourself. I heard enough on this one, but.
Well, I've explained once again, I'll do it one more time. What we are running is the direction that this is going to moving forward. And that is, we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already. You can see where they are running out of storage capacity. In a few weeks, they're going to have to start pumping oil unless they make changes. And that leverage that we have with the armada of boats that are currently positioned allow us to seize any sanctioned boats coming into or out of Venezuela.
Look, listen. If they are going to run Venezuela, which is what Trump said, then they need to have a plan to run Venezuela. And Mark Rubio is now suggesting that they don't have a plan, that it's all on them if they don't find a plan themselves that works with what we think is okay. That's not a plan. Telling someone else to find a plan and then submit it to you for you to decide if you think it's okay, that's not a plan. You see what I mean? They're the ones who moved in and removed the leader. They're the ones who said they're going to run Venezuela in the interim. The question is, what is your plan to run Venezuela? And now this man has backed up off of that. He's actually contradicted having a plan. He's contradicted running Venezuela. He's pulling back off of that. You can hear him in his own words. He's now basically saying, well, we never said we were going to run Venezuela. What it means is we're heading in a direction. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's just crazy. You know, he's not going to convince too many people with this. I mean, not that the 30% of Trump supporters need to be convinced of anything, but you know, they will follow him off a cliff no matter what. So, but let's go.
Loaded with oil or on its way in to pick up oil, and we can pick and choose which ones we go after. We have court orders for each one. That will continue to be in place until the people who have control over the levers of power in that country make changes that are not just in the interest of the people of Venezuela, but are in the
And he's telling them to come up with a plan until the people of Venezuela make changes. So he's literally telling them the plan's on you. We don't have a plan. Okay, well then what the fuck, you know? There you have it. You heard it from him. Now I'm gonna deal with something real quick. I can see the chat is getting a lot of spam. So listen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the chat in subscriber mode, right? And from there, people can, if you're not subscribed, you might want to subscribe right now. And if you are not subscribed, then it's going to lock you out of the chat. And you can always subscribe. It will take 1 minute for you to be let back into the chat when you subscribe, right? So you'll only be locked out for 1 minute if you're not subscribed to the channel, but you're in the chat chatting. Okay, so on 3, I'm going to put it in subscriber mode. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So let's see how that does things. And again, you're not locked out. You can participate in the chat if you want. But what it means is that, you have to subscribe, like all the other subscribers. You got to subscribe, and, you got to realize it's not only about you. It's also about everybody else too, and myself. So, you gotta play the game a little bit to get along like everybody else. So let me see here. Let me go over to, let me get back here to the chat and see if that worked. Let me know. Did that work in the chat, y'all? Let me take a look. All right, here we go. Yeah, there we go. So I guess it worked. Everybody's in the chat. I could see people in the chat. Yeah, so I could see a lot of that stuff. Those people, that had a lot of opinions, they weren't actually subscribers, So there you have it. I hope that means, Bits, you don't have to do so much work running around and all, because it's good to have people in their opinions, but they got to be on the boat with everybody else in terms of how this works and being fair towards other people. Now people come to this page and people listen to this page because they like the page. They like to have the conversations. But if you don't like the conversations, again, this goes back to how people vote. Stop voting for what you don't like. Support the things you like. Right? So you should be concerned about that, when the way you move. You know what I mean? So in any case, here we go. Let's get back to the program. That was Marco Rubio talking his talk. He's on this damn thing for I don't know how long. I mean, he's actually on here for 12 minutes. Let me see one other thing here. Let's see one other thing. I want to go to the end of this where he makes a comment here.
That he said you cannot credibly argue that drug trafficking charges demand invasion in one case while issuing a pardon in another. What's your response?
Well, the president has the pardon authority. He's the one that reviewed the file with the folks at the White House to make these pardon decisions, and I refer questions to them on it because I'm not involved in the pardon process. So I can't comment on that because I wasn't involved in that process. But the president...
So, in other words, you can't even really promise people that you won't pardon Maduro after all of this, right? I mean, it's just getting ridiculous with him. But now since we did Marjorie Greene Taylor, I want to flip over to Hakeem Jeffries real quick to see, because I know that he can be a flashpoint for certain MAGA people out there, listeners and stuff, and also some independents, but I'm interested to hear what he's saying here because he is the caucus leader of the Democrats in Congress. So I'm just curious. I haven't heard his words yet on it. So let me see here.
Welcome back. And joining me now is House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Now, I just want to remind all MAGA supporters, all MAGA voters that your taxpayers, your tax dollars, your federal tax dollars go to paying Hakeem Jeffries' salary. It goes to paying his dental bills. It goes to paying his housing, his kids' education, and things like that. So, Democrats are not the only people that have to pay for people's bills that don't do shit for them. So I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Just to get that out there,
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. We obviously have to start with the capture and indictment of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. You have called him a, quote, criminal and authoritarian dictator who has oppressed the people of Venezuela for years. Is Venezuela better off without Nicolas Maduro in power?
Well, he's a bad guy, of course, and he's going to stand trial in the American court of law at this particular point in time. It remains to be seen whether the people of Venezuela are going to be better off. Donald Trump claims that he's going to run Venezuela. He's done a terrible job running the United States of America. Life hasn't gotten better for the American people over the last year. Life has gotten worse. He promised to lower the high cost of living. Costs haven't gone down. They've gone up. The healthcare system is broken. Donald Trump refuses to do anything about it to address the Republican healthcare crisis. So the notion that he's going to run Venezuela and make life better for the Venezuelan people, of course, is belied by the facts as to what he's done as president here in the United States of America.
Well, you just heard my conversation with Secretary Rubio. I asked him about the administration's decision not to inform Congress ahead of this operation until...
Do me a favor, click the like button, y'all. I can see we got 560 people watching. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to get the notifications when I go live. Hit the bell button. But at least, at the bare minimum, click the like button, because I can see obviously a lot of people like this video right here we doing.
President Maduro had been captured. Secretary Rubio saying this was not the kind of mission where they could have afforded to notify Congress. There were concerns about leaks. He made that point. President Trump made that point. Was the administration justified in this case in not briefing Congress?
Well, there's been no evidence that the administration has presented to justify the actions that were taken in terms of there being an imminent threat to the health, the safety, the well-being, the national security of the American people. This was not simply a counter-narcotics operation. It was an act of war. It involved, of course, the Delta Force, and we're thankful for the precision by which they executed the operation and thankful for the fact that no American lives were lost. But this was a military action involving Delta Force, involving the Army, apparently involving thousands of troops, involving at least 150 military aircraft, perhaps involving dozens of ships off the coast of Venezuela and South America. So of course this was a military action, and pursuant to the Constitution, only Congress has the power to declare war, to authorize acts that take place in this regard. And we've got to make sure when we return to Washington, D.C., that legislative action is taken to ensure that no further military steps occur absent explicit congressional approval.
All right, well, let's talk about when you return to Washington, D.C. One of the big topics at the forefront of Congress will be, of course, the fight over these Obamacare subsidies. They expired just days ago. The House set to vote on a 3-year extension of those subsidies. But as you know, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said it's a non-starter in the Senate. Why are you putting forward a bill that has absolutely no chance of passing the Senate?
Well, let's take it one step at a time. We've got to make sure that a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits passes out of the House upon our return next week so we can protect the health care of tens of millions of Americans who are about to experience dramatically increased health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles.
Okay, so I want to know from the chat, should should the healthcare premiums, right? Should they be extended, right? The tax. Here, let me just play this one more time. I'm sorry, I'm confusing the language real quick.
Well, let's take it one step at a time. We've got to make sure that a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits passes out of the House upon our return next week.
Right, the tax credits on the healthcare, right? Now, this is what it sounds like what he's saying to me is the first thing you got to do is extend the credits. After that, then you can negotiate all the healthcare you want. Do you agree? Should the healthcare credits be extended until another agreement is met? If you believe that the tax credits should be extended until another agreement is met, put a 1 in the chat. If you do not, put a 2 in the chat. Again, this is about the cost of healthcare and what you have to pay this month in January and every other month after that, the hikes in healthcare coverage. If you agree that the first thing that has to happen when Congress comes back in the session is that the healthcare tax credits have to be extended so that the costs come back down immediately for American families. If you agree that should happen before any other negotiations, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe they shouldn't do that at all, put a 2 in the chat. I'm curious what people think about that. All right.
So we can protect the health care of tens of millions of Americans who are about to experience dramatically increased health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles. In some instances, health insurance costs will increase by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. That's completely and totally unacceptable. And Republicans have a responsibility to partner with us as Democrats to stop it, to protect the health care of everyday Americans, working class Americans, and middle class Americans. Now, when we successfully pass this bill out of the House of Representatives, we know that there's a bipartisan majority in the Senate. Every single Senate Democrat and at least 4 Senate Republicans who support a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. The votes exist to pass it in the Senate, absent procedural hurdles that John Thune is erecting because Republicans...
Oh, Rainbow. Yeah, the question is, do you believe that the first thing the House needs to do is reenact the healthcare credits that brought the cost, that keep the costs down where they were before, and then move on? You know, just pass that quickly to reinsert the tax credits for the healthcare to get the healthcare back down. Do you believe that's the first thing that Congress should do when it comes back in office, or do you believe that should be delayed until some other agreement is reached? Put a 1 in the chat if you think it should immediately be reinstated, the healthcare credits, until something else is worked out. Put a 2 in the chat if you think they shouldn't do anything at all.
Americans apparently have no interest in protecting the health care of everyday Americans. They'd rather protect the interests of big oil and their billionaire donors, which is why they enacted massive tax breaks as part of their one big ugly bill.
Well, let me ask you, because as you know, we are 26 days away from another potential government shutdown on the heels of the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Would you support another government shutdown over this battle over health care subsidies?
But what we've said from the very beginning, first of all, we need to resolve this issue within the next week or so, protect the health care of the American people, and then continue to fix our broken healthcare system and address the Republican healthcare crisis that's devastating everyday Americans, including as a result of the fact that they enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Now, we've also said, as it relates to the appropriations process, that we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone in order to find a bipartisan path forward to enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people. As Democrats, we're committed to driving down the high cost of living that exists in this country. Donald Trump promised on day one of his presidency that Republicans would lower costs. Costs haven't gone down. Costs have gone up. Housing costs out of control. Grocery costs out of control. Utility bills out of control. Healthcare costs out of control. We're committed to actually addressing the needs of the American people. That's one of the problems with this action in Venezuela. How does it actually improve the quality of life of everyday Americans? How is it in America's national security interest? Why doesn't Donald Trump and their administration focus on dealing with the affordability crisis? That is not a hoax. It's very real, and something meaningful needs to be done about it. That's the Democratic commitment.
You know, I didn't hear Marjorie Greene Taylor say anything that she was for that he ain't talking about already. Straight up. Listen to what he said. They actually agree. They don't understand where Venezuela falls into play with all of this. And why can't you deal with America, healthcare, housing, and these kind of things first? Like, I don't hear it. And to answer Eric's question, Eric, you said why doesn't Hakeem seem to get much traction among black men? I didn't know. Does he? I mean, for me, I think what he said was on point, you know, and I don't think it's just black men, by the way, Eric. I think there's just a wavelength of people. I believe it's about behavior, you know, and you know, personality traits that don't tap into Hakeem Jeffries. I don't think it's about the ethnic background. You know what I mean? I think those traits are broadly represented in more so Republicans, you know, and how they approach things, you know. Now, I just want to say it doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent or not, right? If you just aren't a member. If you're a citizen of the United States, you need to know how the law and the parliament works, how the Constitution works. And I think Hakeem exhibits knowledge of knowing very well how it works. And what makes a caucus leader, right? That is the leader that is assigned, voted for by your own party, right? To represent your group. That means to go into negotiations with the other party or other entities. That's Hakeem's job. His job is not just to be a congressman. So when you're that person, a lot of times your language and your approach has to change to satisfy that job, that role, that title. You see what I mean? You can't communicate the same way when your actual job is reaching out to the other side. So that is actually his job. That's not AOC's job. She might do that on her own, you know, and she does reach out on her own. She have a lot of Republicans she agrees with to certain things, but a lot of MAGA people hate AOC, you know. So, I mean, but the actual job of Hakeem is he's taking the consensus from the Democratic Party reps over to discuss it with the president, over to discuss it with the caucus leader of the Republicans in the Senate or in the Congress. You see, so he has one role that he's got to play a lot of hats. So I think a lot of people get it confused. Okay, Bitch, I'll see you in a second. I think a lot of people don't understand that that's what happens when you're on the other side. Look, MAGA Mike Johnson is his counterpart in Congress. And MAGA Mike Johnson is a sleazeball. Like, if you don't like Hakeem, you're supposed to hate MAGA Mike Johnson. Like, goddamn, that man stands for nothing. He stands for nothing, you know? But you could even see, you know, he's 1,000 times goddamn worse, you know? So, and he's mean. He's covering for people. He's doing things that are damn near criminal, you know, but you could see when you deal with his tone and you deal with how he has to negotiate and how he speaks every time, it's like he's always got to make it sound like he's willing to talk to the other side. I think that's what pisses people off about Hakeem, because Democrats are looking generally for a more aggressive party when it comes to social benefits and tax dollars, you know, how the tax dollars are spent. Democrats are kind of yearning for that right now. So it kind of spills over into Hakeem. But I personally think anybody that has that title is going to get a little bit of that energy. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, it is what it is. I mean, things change. The good thing about Hakeem is he's elected. He's elected by the people you elect. How about that? You elect a congressperson across the country, different congressional members, Democrats, those congress people elected Hakeem. So there's another dimension there that they like about Hakeem themselves individually, or they wouldn't have voted for him. You see what I'm saying? So that tells me that Hakeem is generally an easy person to access, to communicate with, and probably knows his role and the law very, very well. I'm pretty sure of that. Otherwise, he would not be the caucus leader. I mean, don't underestimate this man. You know, the same for Nancy Pelosi, by the way. A lot of people, you know, get into her personality or her, you know, her tone and things like that. But listen, I'm sorry, but people voted for her. The caucus voted for her. So they're not voting for people that are not highly qualified and know that job well. You know, the Democratic Party, I would say, in terms of a party, they're the only real party. I'm talking about machinery, has the whole party machinery together in terms of the law, the Constitution, what their role is as a government to serve the people. Very clearly, very clear set standards. You know, they seem to know what governance is about. Even if you don't always agree, they at least know what governance is about, what their job is, to serve the American people. It is their job to serve the American taxpayer, to serve the American citizen. It is not our job to serve them. But I think when you look at Republicans, they have it backwards. They generally look at it like it's your job to serve them. You're supposed to pay their salary, and they're supposed to tell you what scraps are left over. You know what I'm saying? And then call you a beggar if you don't like it over your own goddamn tax dollars. I mean, ain't that some shit? You know, so in any case.
Leader Jeffries, let me ask you, because Tuesday marks the 5th anniversary of the January 6th attack on the Capitol. House Democrats are planning to hold a hearing criticizing President Trump's decision to pardon all of the rioters. And I wonder, is there anything tangible that you anticipate coming from this hearing, or is this hearing for show?
It's a substantive hearing. It'll be about the concerns that have been raised by people all across this country as to the fact that on his first day in office, Donald Trump pardoned hundreds of violent felons who brutally attacked the Capitol and beat police officers, more than 140 who were seriously injured. Psychological and physical damage that was done that is permanent in nature. And it was all part of Donald Trump's effort to halt the peaceful transfer of power, which is one of the bedrocks of American democracy. We're in our 250th year of representative government. Our democracy is not perfect, but it's a glorious thing, and it fundamentally has to be protected and preserved. So at minimum, on this 5th anniversary of that horrific attack on the U.S. Capitol, we're going to address issues of concern related to ensuring we continue to have free and fair elections. We've got to get rid of this compliant Republican Congress who function like a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda, as opposed to actually trying to enact policies that make life better for the American people. That's at the essence of our democracy. And so on Tuesday, it'll be an important hearing. We'll hear from Americans from across the ideological spectrum about the horrors of January 6th and why we've got to make sure that something like that never happens again.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. In any case, I think, you're right. I agree with you, Lael. Damn, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Lael Liar, 27. Yeah, I agree with that. And again, the Democratic Party is a busy party, very, very busy in the interests of the American people. They're dealing with the Epstein files. They're dealing with the healthcare situation. They're the only group pushing for the healthcare files. I mean, you have some breakout Republicans doing that too, obviously, 1, 2, or 3, or 4. And then the same thing with healthcare. You got some breakout Republicans breaking with that 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then, and it's the same thing. Now it's the Venezuela thing, and it will be the same thing. Now, if you look at the data, let me just go over to some of the data real quick to read you all the data, and then we can get back to the news. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Click the like button if you don't mind. Subscribe if you've never been to the channel or haven't subscribed before. You can get in the chat in 1 minute once you subscribe. The chat is in subscriber mode right now. And click the like button. I see we got 300 something, 400 people watching. Click the like. Do me a favor, click the like button. I know a lot of people watch from their TVs or while they're driving and things like that, but do me a favor, click the button for a second, the like button, and some more people can get access to the stream. Now check this out. We got Nigeria had some airstrikes also, and so that's been happening. That's been ongoing the same time. It overlaps. It just recently heated up, with airstrikes in Nigeria, and people are beginning to ask the same questions. What is this about? I mean, Trump goes to Nigeria, makes airstrikes, claiming that they're, killing, saving Christians, but actually most of the victims of the Islamic terrorists there, quote unquote extremists, are Muslims. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. And then how do you match that up with you bombing Nigeria to save Christians, and then you lock a Christian up? Maduro's a damn Christian, and you so Trump is like a hot mess. This administration is a hot mess, and I'm sorry. You may not like it when someone does something you don't like, but when they show you they're a hot mess and they're doing things you don't like, that's something totally different, because that's not limited to one thing. Trump is just all over the fucking place with your tax dollars, and very little of it is coming back to anyone that voted for him or against him. That has to be noted. That has to be noted. Right? That just has to be noted, and then after that is dissected, then people should be able to look into other shit, whether they like Trump or not. Like, start with the facts, then say you like him. Don't just come in the chat and be like, Trump 2028. So like, what the fuck? Yo, you missing all of this shit? Like, that's all you got to say is Trump is the greatest, and you skip right past all the facts? Like, okay, now let me see here. There's some data. Right? There's some data about Venezuela, right? So let me just go over some of the polls here with folks. Can I look this up? Let me open up this one. Boom, boom, boom. Let me, because actually it is a mixed bag. There are some Venezuelans that are celebrating this in the U.S. There's probably some that are also happy Maduro's gone in Venezuela. But Trump, like I stated before, Trump saying he wants to run Venezuela, so far I have seen no agreement on that by any Venezuelan. The ones happy that that Maduro's gone, they don't even agree with that. So so the polls are very mixed. Let me see here. I'm just going to open a few up and then get them up on the screen. Let's see here. I want to get enough of these out. Maybe not too many. I don't want to clog up system here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go to this one, and then let's take a look and see what they look like real quick. Boom. Let's get this chat up here. Okay, so CBS News poll finds most would oppose U.S. military action in Venezuela, says Trump hasn't explained. Okay, right. So this is as of 2025. So that's what? Oh, this is last year. Okay, so let me skip up to the more recent ones. I'm sorry. That's why I got confused. What the hell? Let me see here. Okay, this is about military action. I'm sorry. So last year, people said that they were opposed. Most Americans opposed military action, right? Oh, wait a second. I know you all can't see all of that, so let me take my camera off. Then you can see it. Here we go. So, yeah, most Americans opposed it, right? Let me see here. Can I get this translated over into English? First of all, let me just fix it on the screen for people. And I can see everybody can't see the text clearly. Let me see here. Boom. Let's go over to this. Okay. Here we go. That should be better. Let me make the text a little bigger also. All right. Okay. I don't know how many of y'all can speak Spanish, but let me see here. 62%. This is Americans, right? Estados Unidos se opone a una invasión de IUU a Venezuela. Sorry about that, but yeah. Now let me see here. Where is this? Okay, is this in Cuba? Where this is coming out of? Oh, this is Puerto Rico. A picture of Puerto Rico. Blah blah blah. Okay, but this is last year, so let's go forward. This is still last year, I believe. Let's see here. Let's bring this one up. This is also last year, and then we're going to go to the recent polling about the invasion. Let me see here. This was also last year. Only a small share of Americans consider Venezuela to be a national emergency. Okay, so that was done. People didn't necessarily like that either. That's what the polling suggests, right? And then, okay, this is more the same, 60%, right? And this is also from, this is 2026 now. This is 2 days ago, right? Yeah. This is 2 days ago. So the polls seem to be very similar here, right? Now let's see what it says here. Am I in the wrong? Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Let's see here. Go back to this. Boom. Now, what it says here is that if I get up to opinion. Okay, here we go. Here's the summary of the recent polling and opinion data related to the idea of the U.S. military invading Venezuela or otherwise controlling it, including both U.S. public opinion and broader regional contextual polls that were available. Okay. Now, let's see here. U.S. public opinion, strong majority opposes U.S.'s military action. CBS News YouGov poll found 70% of Americans oppose U.S. military action in Venezuela. And that would make sense because there's a minority of Americans that are still behind Trump, all right, at this point. So military action in Venezuela with only 30% in favor. Okay. A large majority also say the U.S. government hasn't clearly explained its intentions. Okay. Another Quinnipiac University poll reported about 63% of U.S. voters oppose military action inside Venezuela versus roughly 25% of Americans are for it, right? That's the Chinese Daily Global. Okay. U.S. views on invasion, specifically YouGov survey, September 2025. So these are polls from last year. So let me just see some here. Let me see here. Let's just get to the most recent polls here. Here are the most relevant polling and public opinion data available around the time after or immediately preceding the U.S. capture of Nicolas Maduro, January 3rd, 4th, 2026. Because very new events often don't yet have formal polls published, some figures below reflect late 2025 attitudes just before capture, which also helps show a possible baseline opinion that would at least partially carry over into the reactions now. Okay, so U.S. public opinion. Pre-Maduro capture, these polls were conducted in late 2025, immediately before the capture, and show how Americans felt, right? So that's 63%. That's open to military action. 63% of voters oppose it. 25 were for that. Okay, we already saw that. About 60% of Americans oppose it. U.S. survey, and invading Venezuela, and 52% opposing the force to overthrow Maduro specifically. Okay, that's some interesting data, right? So over half are against regime change, with only 22% in favor, based on an Economist YouGov poll from December 20th. Okay, so only a small share, 15% or less, view the Venezuelan situation as a U.S. national emergency. So that's even worse for Trump, right? Now, CBSNews.gov poll found 70% reject U.S. military intervention. So there you have it. You can see that at Red Nacional de Noticias, right? This is YouGov, okay? Now, views on deployment of naval presence, support of U.S. military presence near Venezuela declined. One YouGov poll showed only 30% support deployment and 55% oppose any direct action against Venezuela. Yeah, I'm with I oppose any direct action against them. You know, I'm not for that. I think communication with them, yeah, a lot of other things, yes, but I think they could have been better. The other tools could have been better. Just drop invading, man. There's other pressures that can be put on Venezuela, and there's other tools, and those tools were working. You see what I mean? They may not work fast, but they were actually working. So why, you know? But in any case, take away pre-capture. A large majority of Americans did not support military force against Venezuela, especially an invasion. So basically, it's more American to be opposed to that in terms of Venezuela, you could say, right? That's a large majority. So that's a super majority is what I would call that, right? Most expect Congress to authorize action if it were to occur, period. That's a YouGov poll, okay? Venezuelan public opinion, okay? Pre-capture polling inside of Venezuela before January capture showed strong rejection of foreign military intervention. A poll by Venezuelan from Laces found 94% of Venezuelans oppose any foreign military intervention in October 2020. So the super majority of Americans are in line with the majority of Venezuelans on that topic. You see, opinion among Venezuelans general. Although many Venezuelans were unhappy with Maduro's government, majorities feared external military involvement and preferred sovereign solutions. Yes. They seem to be in line with most Americans, you know. These Venezuelan figures are pre-capture, but the near unanimous rejection of intervention suggests that immediately after capture, there is likely widespread discomfort or opposition among voters still inside the country. Okay. Now, let's see here. Other regional global views. Pre-capture again. So we're not at the post-capture yet. We're still at pre. Latin America public opinion shows a plurality that thought U.S. intervention could help restore democracy. Okay, that's interesting. Damn. Okay, but support wasn't overwhelming. Okay, so it's majority, but not overwhelming, and was deeply divided by country. One poll found that 53% of Latin Americans support U.S. intervention to overthrow Maduro, but this was before actual military action. Okay, that's according to InfoBay, right? Now, what's known so far after the capture? As of January 4th, 2026, formal polling data conducted after Maduro's capture has not yet been published by major polling organizations. That's common polls with representative samples and usually take a few days to week to collect and publish, especially around the major geopolitical events. However, instead of formal polls, we do have observable reaction patterns and commentary. U.S. reaction signals news and early public reaction. U.S. opinion is expected to follow existing unwillingness towards military intervention. Even so, Trump didn't listen to the American people's wishes. Basically, that's what this says. Some Republicans and congressional leaders, according to news reporting, expressed concerns about legality costs and strategy after the capture. That's according to Reuters, right? You see here, you can see that. That's Reuters, right? Latin America and global reaction. Across Latin America, reactions are deeply polarized, with some right-leaning leaders applauding and many others strongly condemning the acts as a violation of sovereignty. Massive protests have been planned in multiple capitals. That's according to Reuters also, right? January 3rd, international figures include the Pope have urged respect for independence and international law in response to capture. That's according to Reuters also, right? So let's see here. Venezuelan public displays early anecdotal and social media responses from Venezuelans vary widely, from celebration of Maduro's removal to deep anxiety about sovereignty and U.S. control. Social platforms show this split, though these are not formal polls, right? This is from some spot in Reddit. Okay. Now, summary polling context around after Maduro's capture. Okay. Before capture, strong evidence. U.S. public opinion was strongly opposed to using military force or invading Venezuela. Venezuelans were overwhelmingly opposed to military intervention, right? There's another reference there, Opposion, right? Okay, immediately after capture, no major formal polls released yet, but early signals, news reactions, political debate, protests indicate domestic U.S. skepticism or opposition remains strong. Regional Latin American reaction is deeply divided. Okay, so we've been through this. So let me see something here. Let me just do one other thing here. Let me see. Can I go over to this? This is the U.S. dollar, y'all, by the way. It's gone down. You can see to the left of it is January, and to the right is where we at now. It went down 10 points since Trump has been in office compared to the euro, right? So let's see here. Hold on. Let me see here. Do they have any polls? Let me see here. Hold on. Fact checking. Okay, that might be interesting. It doesn't seem to have polls. Now, I saw Midas Touch posting some polls. 2 seconds. Let me get my camera up here for a second so y'all can see me. Midas Touch had some polls earlier. Let me see. Did I review any of those polls? Let me just pull this up and see if I can recite any of them offhand here for folks. I hope everybody's doing well in the chat. Let me see here. Let me just try to review. Maybe I can bring some of them up. Polls. Did I review any of those damn polls? Let me see something. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over here to find it here so we can review that. Live, there was some polling. I know Midas Touch did some good. They did some good reporting on the polling here. So let me go here. Boom. And then go into, I'm sure I played some kind of, was watching maybe earlier some Midas Touch shit here. Let's see here. Is this it right here? I think it's right here. Here we go. Let's check this out. So this is, you all can see this, right? Here we go. So this is Midas Touch reporting on the polling. Let's see here. Let me just cue this up for everybody, and then we can check out what it is. Let's see here.
Now, as his invasion of Venezuela did not go as planned. Sure, he captured Nicolas Maduro, but Maduro looks happier than ever. He's given the cameras the thumbs up sign as he is in the federal prison in New York right now, and he was walking into the federal prison wishing people happy New Year's. And I guess Donald Trump just thought, what, the people of Venezuela were going to be like, hey, Donald, let us give you our oil. You can run Venezuela. As Democratic Congress member Eric Swalwell said, I'll play this clip in a little bit. He said, Donald Trump couldn't even run a casino. You expect him to run a country like Venezuela of 28 million people? The people of Venezuela do not want Donald Trump to run or operate Venezuela or occupy Venezuela. We're hearing from
big up to Midas Touch and Ben Marcellus, you know. I mean, they're doing some great reporting, and they do come with the data. So
the former vice president, now the interim president of Venezuela, Delcy.
Matter of fact, I'm sorry here. Let me do one thing here. I didn't do this properly. Let me flip over to here, and I can pull that up on the other side here. That way I can get you guys back on the screen. Let me see. Let me go back here.
Welcome back, and joining me now is House Democratic
Sorry about
leader
that.
Hakeem
Let me just get
Jeffries
that queued up on the right screen here. Let's go. Here we go.
Donald Trump is losing it right now.
Let's just go straight to the data because they do have some good data here. Right, here we go. Let's
want Donald Trump to be occupying Venezuela. She says there's only one true leader of Venezuela, and that's Maduro. Also, the governors of the various regions loyal to Maduro, at least as of this recording, show no signs of surrendering or just handing over Venezuelan oil to Donald Trump. At the same time, Donald Trump threw the main opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, under the bus. I mean, people expected that she was going to be the person who would be installed as the new leader of Venezuela. She was the main opposition leader. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, she's someone who's supported by the Europeans, the Canadians, Australians, and others as a pro-democracy voice. That's at least, I'm just letting you know how they describe her. There are people who describe her differently, but I think she expected that she would be the new leader of Venezuela. But Donald Trump says the people of Venezuela do not respect Maria Corina Machado. He goes, she's a nice lady, but she doesn't have what it takes to actually rule and lead Venezuela. Trump says that he wants to be the one ruling Venezuela and occupying it for some uncertain period of time in order to take their oil away and give it to the American oil companies. I mean, I just think that Donald Trump probably cut some deal with Putin and Xi Jinping that he would take the Western Hemisphere and Xi Jinping can have Asia and Putin can take all of Europe, and they would just share the spoils of invading all of these nations and extracting resources. What other justification can you have for Donald Trump's the way Donald Trump is behaving right now? It just seems to make sense if you kind of put those puzzle pieces together right there. Now, Donald Trump's been making deranged post after deranged post all night. I'm talking about like 100 post. And he's making posts like this again on a day where the United States invaded a country, Venezuela. Donald Trump says it is an occupation to take their oil and that he's going to run it for an indefinite period of time, right? While the American people, I guess, want to see like some semblance of stability here, this is what Donald Trump is actually posting on his social media platform. Donald Trump says the CIA overthrew the 2020 election, and that's why he lost in 2020. This is a real post that Donald Trump made. Donald Trump reposts an account that says the Central Intelligence Agency toppled the United States government on November 3rd, 2020, live on national TV. And Donald Trump says 2.7 million Trump votes were deleted by Dominion. In 2026, as Donald
Trump wins elections, and he thinks that the elections that he won are stolen elections. Like, this guy is still, this is how you know he has dementia. This is how, like, somebody can ask him a question about what's going on right now, and dude starts talking about elections being stolen. Like, what the fuck?
Trump invades Venezuela. Donald Trump is saying the CIA overthrew the 2020 election. This is what a deranged maniac he is. Donald Trump also says that he is sending yet another warning to Nigeria after invading Venezuela. He says that the Nigerian government better move fast and stop killing the Christians, or Donald Trump says he's going to come into your country, Nigeria, guns a-blazing. That's the video that Donald Trump put out, that he's going into Nigeria guns a-blazing, he says. First, let me be very clear. The Nigerian government is not persecuting Christians the same way Donald Trump claims the South African government is engaged in a genocide of white people in South Africa. Donald Trump is using this as a pretext to try to invade Nigeria. He's already bombed.
Okay, so let's right there. Is Donald Trump using this as a pretext to invade Nigeria now that you've seen what happened with Venezuela? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe. This is like deja vu and shit. You know what I'm saying? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that this these strikes, this engagement with Nigeria is about oil and Trump wanting some of it. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that's what it is. Put a 2 in the chat if you think, oh man, that could never be it, man. Trump's my main man. Yo, Trump would never do that. I mean, seriously. This shit is crazy. It's deja vu all over again. Now he's interested in Nigerian Christians. He just kidnapped a Venezuelan Christian, and now he's worried about Nigerian Christians, and they happen to have oil. Name all the Christian countries that don't have oil. Where's Donald Trump at? You know what I'm saying? He just found his way to Nigeria and shit. It's like, what the? Listen, Trump, nobody fucking ever in their last mind would ever think you care about any Nigerians whatsoever. He just kicked them. I mean, anyway, for those of you that don't know, the background in Nigeria is very, very diverse. You know, although you have ethnic groups that are like, might be Muslims, that might be Christians, or they might be something else. There are the Muslims and Christians also have a mixture of ethnic traditions that connect with other religions that are ethnically important to Nigerians, you know. So they have a double burden almost, you know what I mean, of carrying along their ethnic traditions religiously and things like that, culturally and stuff like that. And then this new added extra layer of, you know, with Abrahamic religion, which is like a double thing that they, so I mean, you know, it's a very unique place. You see what I mean? So you're not dealing with typical Christians or typical, and not that anybody's typical Christian or typical Muslim, right? There's a whole lot of different kinds of people. You don't really know what somebody means when they say Christian or Muslim, man. I just had a conversation yesterday, with actually I won't say who, but let me just say I had a great conversation with a person that I've known for a long time. And they were talking about Morocco. We got some friends from Morocco, right? And Moroccans are known to be Muslims, right? But listen, understand something. There's a lot of Moroccans that practice what they call, quote unquote, black magic. Like, did you know that? They do. And they're not the only one. It's people in the Middle East that practice black magic. And you never hear these people, quote unquote, black magic. And you never hear you never hear anyone ever talk about it in politics. No, it's broad practice, you know? So in any case, you know, not to change the subject, but let's get back onto this. I mean, it seems like nobody believes Trump gives a fuck about no Christians when he's going into Nigeria. I mean, but let's hear some more, because he's got did some real good reporting on the actual data in the polling. There's some very recent data, so that's what I wanted to get at.
Of Nigerian claimed that he was attacking ISIS there, which he previously claimed he totally dismantled, but he said he had to attack it because they're going after the Christians. The terrorism that does exist in Nigeria it impacts Muslims more than it does Christians, and Nigeria is more tribal than religious based in any event. But what Donald Trump is doing, let's be clear, who has the largest oil reserves right now basically in the world other than Venezuela, which Donald Trump invaded and wants to take that oil for the oil companies?
It's Nigeria.
Nigeria also has massive lithium deposits, which it has
massive lithium deposits. Who needs that? Elon Musk needs that, you know. And by the way, he behaves like a Nazi. So you know what he thinks about Nigerians. You see what I'm saying? So Nigeria, if you trying to decolonize, the last motherfucker you want is Elon Musk in your country. You know what I'm saying? But
deals with China over. So that's what this is all about. It's about invading and taking the rare earth elements. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. So just think about it. In the past 24 hours, Donald Trump has now also threatened to invade Nigeria, Mexico, Colombia, Cuba. Oh, and Donald Trump has made social media posts from the Trump War Room account with a cartoon that says the Don Roe Doctrine, and it is a cartoon image of Donald Trump. This is what Trump posted, an image of Donald Trump.
Somebody said this the other last night in the last stream, the Monroe Doctrine. I mean, that is what he's following, right? It's true. Whoever said that, I forget who said that, but it's true. It's true. I'm sorry. Hold on. Here we go.
Stepping on South America, Central America, North America, Canada, and Alaska with his foot kind of in the area of Northwest Canada, basically saying that he's going to be taking over this territory. He's calling it the...
Do me a favor, y'all. Click the like button. Appreciate it. It helps more people get access to the stream. And subscribe if you haven't seen. We got 640 people watching right now. That's why I'm saying that it helps more people get access to the stream. I appreciate those that did like the video and those of you that are tuning in to hear the program. And thanks.
Don Roe doctrine, and he repeated that during his speech. He goes, the Don Roe doctrine is that he's going to use American power to dominate the Western Hemisphere. And I've talked about spheres of influence before, that Trump is saying his sphere of influence for the United States is the Western Hemisphere. It must dominate the Western Hemisphere. That Russia can basically take all of Europe and China can take all of Asia. That's how Donald Trump views the world. It is very, very dangerous, but it's important that you understand what his demented perspective is and how that will move us closer to a world war if we aren't already in a cold or medium heated world war right now. Donald Trump is also making posts like this. He's accusing Governor Walz, I should say defaming Governor Walz of Minnesota, of assassinating Melissa Hortman, the former Speaker of the House who was assassinated by that MAGA guy over the summer. Remember, Melissa Hortman and her husband were murdered brutally by that masked MAGA person. Remember that went down? Donald Trump is posting a video that said, did Tim Walz have Melissa Hortman assassinated? And this deranged video is like, oh, she was exposing fraud in Minnesota, so Governor Walz was the one who actually had her killed. This is what Donald Trump is posting. The CIA overthrow the 2020 election, the Don Roe doctrine.
I mean, goddamn, Trump is busy as hell. What the fuck? Trump is busy, but he's busy with stuff. What do you call this? Is this motherfucker like bipolar or some shit? Like, what the fuck is up with Trump, man? He cannot stop. He is all over the damn place. Like, he's having a breakdown. Like, you can't produce this much scattered shit if you just not fucking scattered in your goddamn head. Like, yeah.
He's accusing Governor Walz and defaming Governor Walz of murdering Melissa Hortman. I mean, how utterly despicable. But let's not forget what also was supposed to take place today. What was supposed to take place was that the Epstein files, the DOJ was supposed to prepare a report outlining if they made redactions to the Epstein files. And they were supposed to prepare a report about where they searched and what documents they turned over, what documents they didn't turn over. That was due. They blew that.
Jane, what's up?
Deadline as well, the same way they blew the deadline of December 19th, which was the Epstein Transparency Act deadline. The Epstein Transparency Act also called for today being the day where the DOJ had to write a report about its document review, why it made redactions. And so it's just very coincidental that while that takes place, you have this wag the dog moment where Donald Trump invades Venezuela. He's now accusing the CIA of tampering with the 2020 election. He's accusing Governor Walz of assassination. He's threatening to invade every other country. Let's be very clear what this is. This is Donald Trump's effort to distract from the Epstein files. And that's obviously what he's trying to do. We're not going to let him do this, as Donald Trump and the DOJ are engaged in a vile cover-up of a child sex.
No worries, Bits. I see your comment, Bits. No worries.
Donald Trump and the DOJ are engaged in a vile cover-up of a child sex trafficking ring. To show you some more photos right here of Nicolas Maduro. You see the photo of Maduro here. There he is, thumbs up again. The Trump Rapid Response account, Rapid Response 47, posted this video. They called it Perp Walked. And it's Nicolas Maduro walking with FBI agents. And he wishes people a happy new year. Take a look at this video that they posted on the Rapid Response account. Here, play this clip.
For the past 30 years,
sorry about that. 2 seconds.
has listened closely to the...
Yeah, 2 seconds. Sorry about that, y'all. Here we go again. Here we go. You saw the perp walk. Where is the data, though? Oh, here we go. The data's coming up right here, all right? So.
Night. Happy New Year.
We're also getting this data in, folks, as well. This is the latest YouGov poll.
Okay, so let me fix this on the screen real quick so you guys can see what he's talking about here. This is the latest data on the what the public is thinking about this. Okay, so here we go.
Support for the U.S. running Venezuela, occupying Venezuela. Currently, right now, significantly more Americans oppose occupying Venezuela than support it. Only 16% of Democrats support, I don't know who these 16% are, support occupying Venezuela. 26% of independents support occupying Venezuela. 60% of Republicans, though, support occupying Venezuela. That tells you all you need to know right there about all of the, about these various political parties.
Yeah. And this polling seems more conservative, actually, you know, but this was, let me see, let me take that off. Who is this? This is Polling USA. So you can find them at USA underline or whatever that is that, I forget what that's called, polling, right, on X. You can find them on X. As a matter of fact, let me just show y'all so you can see yourselves here. Here we go. Boom. Can y'all see that? You can find the polling right here. So I'm going to let it play a little more. Let's go.
Notably as well, French President Emmanuel Macron states the following: I spoke with Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader of Venezuela. I fully support her call for liberation and the protection of political prisoners of Nicolas Maduro's regime. Like all Venezuelans, she can count on France's support to raise her voice in favor of a peaceful democratic transition. Notably as well, Jim Scudo reports, sources in the Venezuela opposition tell me that the opposition has been in touch with governments across the world following the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. Those countries include France, Argentina, Ecuador, Panama, and Paraguay, who the opposition says expressed their support for restoring the will of the people in Venezuela. Note the country not on the list. Donald Trump does not want her to run Venezuela. Trump wants to run Venezuela.
So you hear that, to make it clear, a lot of people didn't hear that news, but Trump did say that when he made his first White House, you know, speak or talk about it, whatever the hell, from the White House press room, is that what it's called? But Trump said that no, he's not interested in working with, he has no plans to work with opposition parties either. And that stunned people, you know, because Mark Rubio quotes the fact that Maduro wasn't the Democratic elected person. So they use that as president. So they use that point as a reason to take him out of power, and then to justify taking him out of power. And then they don't work with the people that did win the election. I mean, or are more heavily favored. So again, you know, this is a serious going to be a serious point. I think the Trump regime has lost this battle with Venezuela already. I dare say that, because you can get in, and this is why you're not supposed to do this, because sure, you can get in. No one's debating that you don't have the world's most powerful fucking military, but do you plan well? Goddamn, that's what people debate. Do you use them the right way, correctly? How good are you at other shit that when it comes to dealing with these problems? Because it's not just about whether you can get in and capture somebody. It's about, can you really get the country? First of all, do you have any real interest in getting the country up and running independently for itself? Is that even your real interest? Secondly, who has more interest in that than the people of Venezuela in the first place? You see what I mean? It just poses all kinds of inherent baseline questions about sovereignty. Why would Americans be more dedicated to building up a free Venezuela than we are at maintaining our own goddamn country? You see what I'm saying? Like, you would expect Venezuelans have more of an interest of doing that. You would expect that. So let them do it. But in this case, that's not what's going to happen. That's not what Trump wants to happen. He doesn't want to let them do it now. He wants to remove Maduro, and now he wants to take control. And this is ridiculous. You know, this is just ridiculous, you know, but
Well, he's jealous of her for winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And also, Donald Trump doesn't want there to be democracy in Venezuela. Trump wants there to be authoritarian puppets who give him the oil for the oil companies. Trump doesn't want Europe to have any influence there or Canada to have any influence there. Trump wants it all for himself. Let's just call it out what it is. I want to share this with you as well. You're seeing some of the protests, massive marches in New York City against Trump's war.
Yeah, exactly, Jane Harrison. I better be quiet or Delta Squad coming to get me. Yeah, basically.
In Venezuela, massive protests in Chicago, massive protests in many cities across the United States. Let me share with you what was said during a speech by New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani. He says he called Donald Trump yesterday morning to voice his disagreement with the aggression in Venezuela and capture of Maduro. Here's what Mamdani said. Let's play this clip right here.
As well as other members of my team, I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change, to the violation of federal international law, and a desire to see that be consistent each and every day.
And what was his response to you in that conversation?
I registered my opposition, I made it clear, and we left it at that.
And I think this is a great line by Democratic Congress member Eric Swalwell, who is running for governor of California. Right. Here he says that Donald Trump can't run a casino. Now he thinks he can run a country in South America with 28 million people. Here's what Congress member Swalwell says. Let's play this clip right here.
Agree with them?
Well, I do. And, I talk to Californians all over the state, and going into Venezuela and, quote, running that country ranks at about 200th on their priorities. They're not focused on Venezuela. They're focused on the cost in Ventura and Vallejo, the rent in Los Angeles, and the grocery prices in Pasadena. And they have no faith that Donald Trump can run a country. He couldn't run a casino. And now he's going to run a country in South America while we watch as he fails to run a country in North America. That doesn't add up. And neither does this whole concept that we're going to get the oil from Venezuela and that it will pay for itself, essentially. We heard that over 20 years ago from George Bush, that we'd get the oil from Iraq, and that cost us $3 trillion.
All right.
So utterly deranged behavior by Donald Trump. We'll keep you posted every step of the way.
So that was the Midas Touch reporting, and big up to the Midas Touch. I mean, they've done a lot for independent media. Independent podcasters, independent news, they've done a hell of a lot. And, thanks to them, they've also been fighting a fight because Trump is like coming after their ass. I mean, they hate the Midas Touch. They quote the Midas Touch on, on their feeds and things like that, and have these displays, outward displays of, trying to repress free speech. They come after Midas Touch because they're encouraging podcasters to come out. Now, somebody asked this in the chat, and let me see. I forget who it was. Let me go back. Was it Chris? Yeah, Chris asked this question, I believe. Was it Chris that asked this? Yeah, Chris said maybe you should look into the Jack Loren Smith has had to say, what he has had to say lately. Right now, in line with that, here we go. Jack Smith, the former U.S. Special counsel who led major federal investigations. Oh, y'all can't see this. Hold on. Let me fix this real quick. Sorry about that. Let me fix this. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Yo, click the like button if you don't mind. If you haven't clicked the like button, click the like button. It helps more people get into the stream. I know it's annoying for me to say that, but a lot of people don't really know that watch all the times that's how YouTube works. But in any case, here we go. Jack Smith, the former U.S. special counsel who led major federal investigations into Donald Trump, has said about Trump, based on recent public testimony, interviews, and records of his statements, Trump was most culpable for January 6th. That basically means he believes that Trump is the most responsible, Jack Smith. So we know that, right? And let me see here. Hold on. Is that who he asked about? Yeah, that is who he asked about. Okay. And so we went over this yesterday. I mean, he said that, and he's made a couple of different public statements in this hearing. Not public statements. His hearing is like 2 hours. 2 hours long, I think, something like that, right? Maybe longer. And he breaks down basically why he charged Trump and attempted to prosecute him, right? Now, here we go. Trump was the most culpable for Jan 6. In testimony released to Congress at the end of 2025, Smith said that the evidence his team gathered showed that Trump was by a large measure the most culpable and most responsible person in the criminal conspiracy surrounding the Jan 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Smith said the attack does not happen without Trump's. This is so funny too, because Trump just tweeted just in the last 24 hours that it's the CIA's conspiracy to plot the election. Was he talking about Jan 6? If he was, then he got it all wrong, because this is the DOJ. This is domestic. And then secondly, that's where CIA is foreign. They work outside of the U.S. They don't work in the U.S. So this is the FBI. This is the DOJ's territory with the FBI, But in any case, Jack Smith said the attack does not happen without Trump's conduct, which includes spreading false fraud claims and failing to stop the violence once it began. His team had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Smith told lawmakers that in his view, the investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the 2020 election and prevent the lawful transfer of power, the core basis of one of the federal cases he brought. Right. So that's here we go. You can go to aol.co.uk for that quote. He rejects claims his prosecutions were political. In a rare interview, Smith pushed back against accusations from Trump and his allies that the investigations were politically motivated. He called the idea that politics influenced his decision to pursue. Influenced his decision to pursue the case as absolutely ludicrous, and stressed that his team acted independently following evidence and the law. Okay, you can find that on Law and Crime, right? He defended the integrity of the Justice Department's work. Jack Smith warned about the dangerous consequences of the eroding respect for the nonpartisan public servants, and it has criticized attacks on career prosecutors, implicity, and referenced how the Trump administration treated DOJ officials and investigations. You can find that quote at AOL. You can find that statement at AOL. Jack Smith. Okay, while details about the classified documents. Now, this is what's a little more interesting, because people that don't know, Trump, when he left office last time in 2021, right? He took files, top secret files, from the American people. He stole those from the American people and refused to give them back. And these were boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of top secret classified files. I mean, he had nuclear secrets in there, plans of attack for Iran, shit like this inside of these documents. And he was stashing them in places like his damn toilet in Mar-a-Lago, which is Mar-a-Lago is a damn club. A leisure club. You see what I'm saying? Like, so the same place Jeffrey Epstein was going to recruit or even maybe get serviced, the same place he may have been going to get serviced and recruit minors for sex trafficking is the same place he had all these top secret files. Do you know how many people go there to do all kinds of activities daily? And this is where he brought these files. And to this day, the American people don't know anything about who actually has seen any of that stuff. That's what he's talking about. So, while the details are fewer in public quotes, Smith explained in interviews that in the classified documents case, there was a large amount of evidence showing Trump willfully retained and obstruction to retrieve government materials, so that he wouldn't give them back when asked. Okay. He was ordered to give them back, and he obstructed that. He said, "No, man, we ain't going to do it." No, he said, yeah, we're doing it, and made excuses, but it all turned out to be he wasn't doing it and still kept them. FBI had to raid it, and now he's mad because you raided my house when I told you I was going to give them back, but he never did. So more than so in cases involving similar issues with other officials. Okay, how Trump responded, we don't give a damn how Trump responded. He's just gaslighted people. Okay, in summary, Jack Smith's statement about Donald Trump generally emphasized that he believes the evidence showed Trump illegally sought to overturn. So there it is, the 2020 election. So that's what is up with Jack Smith. Now, I did cover that a little bit a few weeks back. No, not a few weeks back, a few days back. I'm sorry, damn, I'm forgetting. A few days back, right? So for those of you that don't know, they may not tune in every day, tune into some of my other videos, and then we will, that will become more apparent. But as of now, that appears to be the news, y'all. Now, let me see here. Let me just double check one other thing. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Now, I just want to ask a question before I'm out of here. I will be back, and let me see here. I will be back in 8 hours from now, right? In 8 hours from now, I will be back live, 8 to 9 hours. But I wanted to ask folks, right? I'll be doing the late night scroll for the East Coast and for the Pacific time area, right? As I normally do the late night stroll, but it was good to do one around this time today, the early stroll for people just getting up, or in the afternoon in the US. That's the evening in the EU and in Africa, So now I just wanted to ask you all, do you think Trump should be impeached now? If you believe Trump should be impeached now, put a 1 in the chat. Say hell yeah or something like that. And if you don't, then just say, you put a 2 in the chat or say no. I want to see how many people believe, and state where you're from, what country you're from. Some people might be from other countries, actually. Yeah, let me know what country you're from. Those of you that's listening and not in the chat, at least you could do is click the like button, subscribe to the channel. So again, if you think Trump should be impeached, to the hell yeah, put a hell yeah. Let me know what state or country you're from, and a 1, and or 1, either one of those. And then no is a 2 or a no. Let me know what country you're from, what state you're from, and all of that. And let's hear from it. I'm just curious about that right now. I mean, just to sum it up generally, it's always good. I see you, Mexico. There you go. Thank you, Margarita. I hope I said that right, Margarita Navarez. That's a nice name, Margarita. I like that. All right. Yo, but let me know if you think Trump should be impeached, Margarita. Okay? Yeah, yes or no to that question. And yeah, Feliz Navidad, right? I could at least say that. And to everybody else in the Spanish speaking part of the world, by the way, I'm curious about that, whether people, I'm assuming most of the people, want Trump to be impeached. Right? It has been interesting. Somebody came in the feed earlier and said they actually used to support Trump, but now it's too much. I forget who made that comment. I actually meant to say something about that comment. It was at least one who participated today in the chat who said that they used to support Trump, but now it's gone too far. And I think it's okay, man. Listen, sometimes the back and forth between political parties or politics can kind of make people hunker down into positions that maybe you shouldn't have to hunker down into anything. Maybe it should just be a rational question about issues you support or not, but it shouldn't make people feel like they have to hunker down and fight for one position, when maybe you find out, no, you learn some new information and you find out, no, that actually wasn't too cool. It's okay to admit that. You know what I mean? If anything, that makes you a clever person, right? I've had to do it before in my life. You see what I'm saying? So, I don't think, to me, I just look at it as a matter of fucking dignity. I have to be like, damn, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And sometimes people don't realize it until it's done some work, on people. So, yeah, let me see. Doesn't matter how big they are, torturing the defenseless, they can be stopped. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Dion. Yeah. Is that Dion for peace? Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that, man. It seems like no matter how technologically advanced we get, no matter how much money is getting into these hands, people seem to want to have grievances that seemed like illogical. I see why Star Trek was a really big show with Spock, because Spock was really on shit being illogical, looking at human beings like, that's an illogical thought, and he couldn't understand. He would be like, what the fuck is up with humans and shit? And he's talking about humans in outer space. Spock is meeting humans in outer space, and he's like, you are illogical. Turns out Spock might have had a point. You know what I'm saying? Spock might have had a point. Because human beings, man, we are a work of art. I'm telling you, though, we are a work of fucking art. Yeah, for real. You know what I'm saying? Nanu also. What the You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. I mean, you know, Star Trek was a pretty hip television show. It was woke. Star Trek was woke as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I bet you MAGA hate Star Trek. I should throw some Star Trek on right now and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna hate Uhuru, get her ass off of the goddamn bridge. They don't want Spock there. You know what I'm saying? Just because you got pointy ears, we all been through that. Stop complaining. Work like everybody else, Spock. You know, what the fuck? Motherfucking Kirk, stop looking at the black ladies. Actually, maybe Kirk might have been with the one Republican in that motherfucker. I don't know. Any case, you know what I'm saying? Out there stalking women and shit. But in any case, I appreciate everybody for showing out and showing up. Click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But folks, I really appreciate your support. You know, it's actually a dream for me, and to seriously, y'all might laugh. Some of y'all might laugh. Thanks for the you like the cap, huh? Some of y'all might laugh when I say it's like a dream for me, but don't underestimate what I'm saying. It's like you know, I actually really did want to be doing this last year when I wasn't. You see what I mean? 2 years ago when I wasn't, I took the time to think, okay, to learn a little bit, you know, what should I do? How can I approach this? And I really spent some time learning from other people, like straight up people that I know, people that do some good programming too. I would be in their chat and I would ask them about how these programs worked. And a main thing is I would look at how they conducted their show, you know, and dealt with the audience and things like that. And it takes some time to actually be able to do. But the one thing that people should never underestimate is you also need to have something you bring to the table too, outside of how you deal with the audience. But that's important. That is important, you know, because people don't want to, if you can't make people interested in listening to you, then it won't work either. But you need to have something else that's grounds them in your programming and why they come to you. So I hope I'm living up to that, you know, you guys, you know, and I appreciate the opportunity that you've given me, you know, to live up to it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, on that note, I'm out now. I just wanted to say, I hope this is a moment for all the people that got a problem with Trump, right, and his policies, to hit the reset button too, to actually hit the reset button too. No matter what country you're in, the game is the same. The attack that's on us and democracy is the same. It's the same. You see what I mean? So let's do everything we can to help further each other's survival through these days. You know what I mean? Is the attack that we're under in the U.S. is not, we're not the only ones that people are. The EU is under the same attack. You see what I mean? The same words, key words come up, you know? And just like Marjorie Green Taylor said, this is interesting. Check this out. She parroted J.D. Vance's words about freedom of speech. Yeah, she did. And J.D. Vance chastised the EU regarding that. And that's what I find, what I think Marjorie Green Taylor fails in. Like, she says she's opposition to Elon Musk and things like that. But look, they use that ground to spread disinformation. They use the ground for freedom of speech to spread disinformation. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I have to differ with Marjorie Green Taylor on that, because disinformation is harming our kids. It's harming our societies. It is. You got people out here literally believing Hillary Clinton was drinking, the Epstein files was about Hillary Clinton drinking baby blood, and they missed all the other shit that was going on. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's pushing misogyny. It's pushing discrimination where it's not even fucking needed. Live and let live. Just live and let live, man. If your family has problems with the cost of healthcare, then say it. Vote for somebody that's going to change that reasonably change it. Not say that, you know what the change is? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and cut down a tree that I can't even see, don't even know it exists, and that's going to bring down the cost of healthcare. No, don't vote for somebody with some wild ass plan like that. Go direct. Go direct and look at healthcare, how it's formed, and say, God damn, a third of the bills is administration fees. Let's do something about that. We can still be capitalistic and do something about that. But none of them did. You see what I mean? The Republicans wanted to worry about the 0.1% of transsexuals out there and shit. You know what I mean? Not to mention there's a whole lot of other conversations people don't even have. I mean, look, did you know there's some people born with 6 fingers? Did you know that? Do you know a lot of people born with it don't even know? Do you know that? That's a thing. Did you know that? Did you know that? Nobody's bitching about that. You know what I'm saying? You Republicans ain't bitching about the people born with 6 fingers and shit. Yo, what the fuck? I mean, it's just an example, but I'm just saying, I'm serious. Like, they don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? But they have a problem. You know, it just makes me wonder, you know. But on that case, y'all, I'm going to be out. I'll be back in 8 hours from now. I appreciate everybody for your time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'm going to catch you all on the morning stroll, all right? So big up to you. 1. Impeach Trump. Impeach some Supreme Court justices. See ya.
When I'm out walking, sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gap, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live when narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking
yes, you
lie.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
and
this
yes, you
day.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods. Twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate. Understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate. We can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true,
and yes,
man.
you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued when the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you. Despite the system trying to clamp down on the people will learn how to stand up up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far. But evil lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin. But then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities of different realities. Into the Star Trek room when you hit the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey.